Hello everyone, and welcome to the Saiyan What Ifs. So we are back with an interesting movie on what if Goku wielded the power of the Avatar, Master of all Ments Goku x Korra x Bulma, Avatar, The Last Airbender x Dragon Ball. But before we start, I just want to remind you to please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button if you enjoy my content. Let's start the story. Chapter 1. Convergence of Powers. The mountain shattered beneath Goku's fist, great slabs of ancient granite cascading down the valley like autumn leaves caught in a typhoon. He hadn't meant to hit it quite so hard. A frown creased his normally carefree features as he floated back, his GI rippling in the high-altitude wind. Something felt different today. The familiar flow of ki through his body seemed to stutter and spark, like water encountering unexpected bends in a once straight river. That's weird. He extended his palm toward a boulder balanced precariously on the mountainside, intending to give it a gentle push with his energy. Instead of the controlled beam of ki he expected, flames erupted from his fingertips, spiraling outward in concentric rings of crimson and gold. The boulder didn't just move, it exploded, superheated fragments raining down across the alpine meadow below. Goku stared at his hand, turning it over as though he might find some explanation written on his calloused palm. What in the world? The flames hadn't felt like ki. Ki was familiar, an extension of himself, his life force shaped by will and discipline. This was something else entirely. It had felt elemental, wild, as though he'd somehow reached into the heart of a volcano and borrowed its breath. He attempted to recreate the effect, focusing on that strange new sensation that had accompanied the flames. Nothing happened. Frustration wasn't an emotion Goku often entertained, but he felt it bubbling up now. He closed his eyes, centering himself, the way Master Roshi had taught him decades ago, before Super Saiyan transformations and godly ki had complicated his understanding of energy. Okay, let's try something different. Instead of pushing outward as he did with ki, he imagined drawing something inward, as though the environment itself contained energy he could harness. His breathing slowed, and he felt an unfamiliar warmth in his core. Different from ki but somehow complementary to it. When he opened his eyes, small flames danced across his knuckles, casting flickering shadows across his face in the early morning light. Whoa, I'm doing it. I'm controlling. The flames suddenly expanded, engulfing his entire arm. Goku yelped, instinctively trying to shake them off before realizing they weren't burning him. They felt warm, certainly, but no more painful than holding his hand near a campfire. The flames moved with him, responding to his movements like an extension of his body. This is incredible. Wait till Vegeta sees. The thought was interrupted by an unexpected wave of dizziness. The world tilted sideways, mountains and sky switching places in his vision. Goku dropped to one knee, the flames extinguishing as his concentration broke. Something pulsed behind his eyes, not pain exactly, but a pressure that seemed to originate from deep within him. For an instant, he saw not the mountains around him but a series of unfamiliar faces. Their eyes glowing with white light, each dressed in strange clothing from different eras and cultures he didn't recognize. As quickly as it had come, the vision vanished. Goku shook his head, blinking rapidly. What was that? The sound of rushing air made him look up. A massive sky bison descended through the clouds, its 6 legs paddling at the air as though swimming through the sky. Atop the creature sat a young woman with dark skin and fierce blue eyes, her muscular arms crossed over her chest. Her short hair whipped around her face as the bison landed with surprising grace for something so large, its massive tail creating a gust that bent the nearby pines. She vaulted from the bison's head, landing in a crouch before straightening to her full height. Still considerably shorter than Goku but carrying herself with the absolute confidence of someone used to commanding respect. The sleeveless blue tunic she wore revealed arms corded with muscle, her stance suggested she was ready to move in any direction at a moment's notice. All right, I don't know who you are or what you think you're doing, she called out, her voice carrying easily across the distance between them. But whatever you did just sent ripples through the spirit world that nearly gave Avatar Aang a second heart attack, and he's been dead for 20 years. Goku scratched the back of his head, offering a puzzled smile. Spirit world, sorry, but I'm not sure what you're talking about. I was just training when something weird started happening with my energy. Are you the one who's been messing with it? The woman's eyebrows shot up, genuine surprise replacing her combative expression for a brief moment. Me, you think I'm? She stopped mid-sentence, studying him more carefully. Wait, you really don't know, do you? What kind of bender are you? Bender. I'm not bending anything, I'm just a Saiyan trying to train in peace when suddenly I'm shooting fire instead of ki blasts. To demonstrate, Goku extended his hand again, attempting to recreate the effect. This time, rather than fire, a small whirlwind formed above his palm, spinning faster until it kicked up dust and loose vegetation around them. The woman's mouth fell open. She approached cautiously, circling him like a predator assessing potential prey. That's airbending. But a second ago, I sensed you firebending. And you're clearly not from any of the air temples. Her eyes narrowed. What nation are you from? Who trained you? Nation. I'm from Earth. Well, I was born on planet Vegeta, but I've lived on Earth since I was a baby. Goku let the miniature whirlwind dissipate, intrigued by this strange woman who seemed to understand what was happening to him. I'm Son Goku. Who are you? You're on Earth right now, she replied, ignoring his question. And what's planet Vegeta? Some spirit world location? No, it's... Goku paused, considering how to explain his origins to someone who clearly had no concept of other planets or Saiyans. Before he could continue, the dizziness returned, stronger this time. The strange pressure behind his eyes intensified, and his vision blurred. The woman noticed his distress immediately, her combative stance softening slightly. Hey, are you okay? You don't look so good. I'm fine. Just... Goku's eyes suddenly blazed with white light, illuminating the clearing around them. The woman took a startled step backward. No way, she whispered. That's impossible. Inside Goku's mind, the faces he'd glimpsed earlier returned, now arranged in a spiraling line that seemed to stretch back through time itself. At the end of the line stood a young man with airbender tattoos and a kind smile. Next to him was the woman standing before Goku now, Out in his vision she looked slightly younger. As abruptly as it had begun, the light faded. Goku swayed on his feet, then caught himself. Whoa, that was intense. Did you see those people too? The woman stared at him, shock evident in every line of her body. You just went into the avatar state. But that's not possible. I'm the avatar. The what now? The avatar. Master of all four elements. Bridge between the physical and spiritual worlds. She gestured at herself with obvious frustration. Me, Korra, the avatar. Oh, nice to meet you, Korra. Goku extended his hand with a friendly smile. So you know what's happening to me. Great, can you help me figure out how to control it? This fire and air stuff is pretty cool, but I need to get back to my regular ki training soon. Korra ignored his outstretched hand, pacing back and forth now. This doesn't make sense. There can't be two avatars at once. That's not how the cycle works. She stopped suddenly, looking at him with suspicion. What did you do? Did you somehow connect with Rava? Are you working with Vadu? Rava, Vadu. Sorry, but I have no idea what you're talking about. Goku's stomach chose that moment to growl loudly, the sound echoing off the mountainside. He laughed, rubbing his abdomen. Though I could really use some breakfast. Got any food on that flying bison of yours? Korra stared at him for a long moment, then pinched the bridge of her nose. You accidentally accessed the avatar state, something that should be physically impossible for anyone but me, and your first thought is about breakfast. Well, yeah, can't solve problems on an empty stomach. Goku's easy grin didn't waver. Besides, I'm sure there's a simple explanation. Maybe this avatar thing works differently for Saiyans. What in Rava's name is a Saiyan? Korra demanded, throwing her hands up in exasperation. Before Goku could answer, a familiar whining sound cut through the mountain air. A sleek aircraft appeared over the ridge, its Capsule Corporation logo gleaming in the morning sun. Korra dropped into a defensive stance, but Goku waved cheerfully as the craft executed a perfect landing nearby. The side door slid open to reveal a blue-haired woman in a red dress and lab coat, a complex-looking device in her hands that beeped rhythmically. She stepped out, adjusting settings on the machine without looking up. Goku, there you are. The energy readings from this area are completely off the charts. I've never seen anything like it. She finally looked up, blinking in surprise at the sight of Korra and the Sky Bison. Oh, hello. I didn't realize Goku had company. Bulma. Goku called happily. Perfect timing. I'm doing this weird new thing with fire and air, and this lady says I'm using something called the Avatar state. Which apparently only she's supposed to be able to do. Bulma approached, extending her hand to Korra with a confident smile. Bulma Brief, head of Capsule Corporation. Sorry about whatever trouble this big lug has caused. He means well, but he's not exactly careful with his powers. Korra regarded the newcomer warily but shook her hand. Avatar Korra, and he hasn't caused trouble yet. But I'm trying to figure out how he's accessing abilities that should be impossible for anyone but the Avatar to wield. Fascinating. Bulma turned to Goku, all business now. Show me what you were doing when this started. Goku demonstrated, creating small flames that danced across his fingertips before shifting to manipulate the air around them. As he did, Bulma's device beeped frantically, its displays flashing with rapidly changing numbers and graphs. This is incredible, Bulma murmured, adjusting settings and taking readings. It's definitely not Ki, at least, not entirely. There's Ki present, but it's interacting with something else, something I've never recorded before. She glanced at Korra. You said you're an Avatar. What exactly does that mean, scientifically speaking? Korra frowned. It's not really a scientific thing. The Avatar is the human incarnation of the light spirit Rava, reborn in an endless cycle to maintain balance in the world. I can bend all four elements, water, earth, fire, and air, while most benders can only control one element, if they can bend at all. Bend? You mean manipulate these elements without technology? Bulma asked, her scientific curiosity piqued. Of course. Like this. Korra demonstrated, pulling water from a nearby stream to form a spinning orb between her palms, then shifting her stance to raise a column of earth. Followed by a burst of flame and a gust of air that ruffled Bulma's blue hair. Bulma's eyes widened as her device registered each demonstration. Incredible. It's reading like a completely different energy signature from Ki. But there are fascinating similarities in the fundamental frequency patterns. Ki? Korra questioned. You've mentioned that before. What exactly is Ki? Life energy, Goku answered simply. Everyone has it, but warriors like me learn to control and amplify it. He cupped his hands at his side, a blue glow forming between them. Ka. Me. Ha. Me. Goku. Wait, Bulma shouted, but it was too late. Ha. A beam of blue energy erupted from Goku's hands, but instead of the controlled Kamehameha wave he intended, the beam split into four distinct spirals. One fiery red, one earthy brown, one flowing blue, and one swirling white. The combined energy blast hit a distant mountain peak, simultaneously melting, crushing, washing away, and blowing apart different sections. The resulting avalanche cascaded down the mountainside, directly toward a small village in the valley that none of them had noticed before. No, Korra shouted, leaping onto her Sky Bison. Appa, yip yip. The creature launched into the air with surprising speed. I'll fix this. Goku pressed two fingers to his forehead, concentrating on the village below, and vanished. Bulma stared at the empty space where Goku had been standing. He's never going to learn, is he? She sighed, turning back to her aircraft. Well, better get down there and help with damage control. Dash dash dash. In the village, chaos reigned. Hundreds of tons of rock, snow, and debris thundered down toward the collection of simple wooden homes. Villagers ran screaming, clutching children and valuables. But many wouldn't make it to safety in time. Goku materialized in the center of the village, quickly assessing the situation. The avalanche would hit in seconds. Without thinking, he thrust his hands forward, instinctively reaching for the new energy he'd been experimenting with. Stop. To his astonishment, the entire front line of the avalanche froze in place. Rocks and ice hung suspended in midair, defying gravity. Goku felt the strain immediately. Whatever he was doing required tremendous concentration. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he held the massive weight at bay. From above, Korra dove from her bison, landing beside him with cat-like grace. She immediately adopted a wide stance, moving her arms in flowing motions that seemed to push and pull the suspended debris. I've got the earth and water components, she called to him, her voice strained with effort. Can you handle the air pressure to prevent secondary slides? Goku nodded, instinctively understanding what she meant. As Korra methodically redirected the earthen components of the avalanche, Goku focused on creating air currents that stabilized the mountainside, preventing further collapse. Working together, they created a new channel for the avalanche, diverting it safely away from the village. When the last of the debris settled harmlessly in the uninhabited portion of the valley, Korra turned to Goku. Sweat dripping from her brow despite the cold mountain air. For the first time, a smile ghosted across her face. Not bad for a beginner, she admitted. Though next time, maybe dawn. Chi blast apart a mountain without checking what's below it first. Goku rubbed the back of his neck sheepishly. Yeah, sorry about that. Usually, my energy blasts don't do whatever that was. Loggers cautiously emerged from their hiding places, murmuring among themselves as they stared at the two strangers who had saved them. An elderly man with a long white beard approached, leaning heavily on a gnarled wooden staff. Avatar Korra, he said, bowing deeply. Once again, you have protected our humble village. We are eternally grateful. He turned to Goku, studying him with keen eyes. Chi seemed to see more than just his physical appearance. And you, stranger with the power of 4 elements, who might you be? Before Goku could answer, Bulma's aircraft descended, landing delicately at the village edge. She emerged, carrying a case of equipment and looking around at the aftermath with a practiced eye. Well, at least nothing's on fire this time, she muttered, making her way toward Goku. The village elder regarded Bulma with the same intense curiosity. Your flying machine, it resembles the work of future industries, yet different. Are you an inventor like Asami Sato? I don't know who that is. Bulma replied, but yes, I'm an inventor and scientist. Bulma Brief, head of Capsule Corporation. She extended her hand, which the elder shook with surprising strength. I am Elder Sanam of Kyoshi Province. Please, all of you, join me in my home. It seems we have much to discuss. He gestured toward a slightly larger building near the center of the village. Including two avatars now stand before me when all my years of study suggested such a thing was impossible. As they followed the elder, Korra moved closer to Goku, speaking in a low voice. I'm still not convinced you're actually an avatar. But whatever you are, that was impressive back there. We make a decent team. Thanks. Goku grinned. You're pretty amazing yourself. The way you moved all that earth and water was incredible. Could you teach me how to do it properly? I've always been a quick study with new techniques. Korra's expression grew serious. Learning to bend even one element takes years of dedicated training. Mastering all 4 has taken me my entire life. It's not something you just pick up in an afternoon. I learned instant transmission in a couple of days, Goku said cheerfully. Referring to the teleportation technique he'd just used. Korra stared at him. You can teleport too. Is there anything you can't do? Cook. Bulma interjected from behind them. Never. Let Goku near a kitchen unless you want a disaster worse than that avalanche. Inside the elder's home, they seated themselves around a low table as a young woman served tea in simple ceramic cups. Walls were adorned with paintings depicting warriors in green attire wielding metal fans, alongside scrolls written in an elegant script Goku didn't recognize. A fire burned in a central pit, smoke rising through a hole in the ceiling. Elder Sanam studied Goku over the rim of his teacup. You are not from our world, are you, son Goku? The direct question surprised everyone. Goku recovered first, answering honestly. Well, I'm from Earth, but maybe not the same Earth as you. I've never seen people bend elements like Korra does, and she's never heard of Saiyans or Ki. The spirits have spoken of strange occurrences in recent days, Sanam said thoughtfully. Disruptions in the cosmic order. Some believe the boundaries between different realities have grown thin. He set down his cup. Tell me, when did you first notice your ability to bend the elements? Just this morning, Goku replied. I was training in the mountains, and suddenly fire came out instead of ki. Then air. It was pretty cool, actually. Once I got over the surprise. Korra leaned forward. That coincides exactly with the disturbance I felt in the spirit world. It was like a door opening where no door should exist. Bulma, who had been silent until now, spoke up. Actually, This might make sense. 3 days ago, there was an incident at my laboratory involving a prototype dimensional resonator. We thought the experiment failed. But perhaps it succeeded in ways we didn't anticipate. Dimensional resonator, Korra asked. A device designed to study the boundaries between dimensions, Bulma explained. Theoretical physics suggests multiple realities exist simultaneously, separated by quantum barriers. We were attempting to peer across those barriers, not breach them. Elder Sanam nodded as though this confirmed his suspicions. The ancient texts speak of many worlds existing like leaves on a great cosmic tree. Perhaps your science has inadvertently grafted branches together that were meant to remain separate. That still doesn't explain how he can bend all 4 elements, Korra insisted. Even if our worlds have somehow merged, the avatar cycle is spiritual, not physical. There can only be one avatar at a time. Sanam stroked his beard thoughtfully. Perhaps in this case, we must consider that different worlds might operate under different spiritual laws. Just as your Fryan D here possesses energy manipulation abilities unknown to Airbenders, perhaps the rules governing your avatar spirit do not apply perfectly to him. Goku, who had been happily drinking his tea and helping himself to the plate of dumplings that had appeared on the table, looked up. So basically, I'm still me, but now I can do this cool bending stuff too because our worlds got smooshed together a little bit. Bulma sighed. That's oversimplifying it tremendously. But yes, that appears to be the general idea. Awesome. Goku grinned. So, Korra, will you teach me how to control these new powers properly? I promise I'm a fast learner. Before Korra could respond, the ground began to tremble. Tea sloshed from cups, and the hanging lanterns swayed dangerously. Elder Sanam's eyes widened in alarm. That is not a natural earthquake, he said, rising quickly despite his age. That feels like... A deafening roar interrupted him as the wall of the house exploded inward. Through the dust and debris emerged a creature unlike anything Goku had seen before, part badger, part mole, with massive claws and earth encrusted around its body like living armor. Badger mole, Korra shouted, immediately shifting into a fighting stance. But they're usually peaceful and less threatened. Something's wrong with it. The creature's eyes glowed with an unnatural purple light. It roared again, the sound shaking the foundations of the remaining walls, and charged toward them with terrifying speed. Goku stepped forward, excitement rather than fear lighting his features. All right, time to test out these new powers in a real fight. He planted his feet firmly, mimicking the stance he'd seen Korra use earlier, and thrust his palms toward the charging creature. A wall of earth erupted from the floor, intercepting the badger mole's charge. The barrier held for only a moment before the creature smashed through it, barely slowed. Not bad for a first try, Korra called as she leapt into action. But earthbending against a badger mole is like trying to outswim a shark whale. They're the original earthbenders. She demonstrated a more effective approach, using water from a nearby basin to pour ice beneath the creature's feet while simultaneously creating air currents that pushed it off balance. The badger mole stumbled but quickly recovered, slamming its claws into the ground and causing tone spikes to erupt beneath Korra's feet. She dodged with impressive agility, calling to Goku, "Try fire." They don't like bright flames. Goku concentrated, remembering the feeling of fire flowing through him earlier. He extended his hand, and flames burst forth, far more powerfully than he'd intended. A massive fireball engulfed the creature, setting the remaining wooden supports of the house ablaze. Not that much fire, Bulma shouted, grabbing Elder Sanam and pulling him toward the exit as burning timbers began to fall around them. The badger mole emerged from the flames, its earth arm, or glowing red-hot but otherwise unharmed. The purple glow in its eyes intensified, and it let out another roar that seemed to shake the very mountain. Something's controlling it, Korra realized, dodging another attack. That purple energy, I've never seen anything like it. I have, Goku said grimly, his playful demeanor vanishing. That looks like ki, but corrupted somehow. Someone's infusing this creature with twisted energy. The badger mole suddenly froze, then turned its massive head toward Bulma and the elder as they neared the exit. With frightening intelligence, it drove its claws into the ground. The earth before the fleeing pair erupted, blocking their escape and sending them tumbling backward. Bulma, Goku shouted, his protective instincts flaring. In an instant, he Endoned his attempts at bending and relied on what he knew best. Golden light exploded around him as his hair stood up and changed color, his power level multiplying exponentially as he transformed into a Super Saiyan. The Badger Mole seemed to sense the change, turning its attention back to Goku. It charged again, moving with impossible speed for something so large. This time, however, Goku was ready. He met the creature's charge head-on, catching its massive claws in his hands. The impact created a shockwave that blew out what remained of the walls, but Goku held firm, his feet creating trenches in the earth as he was pushed back. Korra stared in astonishment at Goku's transformation. What in the world? Taking advantage of the creature's distraction, she gathered her strength and entered her own avatar state. Her eyes glowing with white light. With precise, powerful movements, she separated the earth armor from the Badger Mole's body piece by piece, revealing the vulnerable hide beneath. Goku, she called, her voice resonating with the power of past avatars. Its connection to the corrupt energy is centered on its forehead. There's some kind of crystal embedded there. Go. Who saw it now? A small purple crystal pulsing with malevolent energy. With a mighty heave, he pushed the Badger Mole back, then moved with blinding speed to appear directly above the creature. With pinpoint precision, he delivered a focused strike to the crystal. The crystal shattered, purple energy dissipating like smoke. The Badger Mole swayed, the glow fading from its eyes, then collapsed unconscious but breathing steadily. Goku powered down from his Super Saiyan form, landing lightly beside the creature. Well, that was interesting. Poor thing was being controlled. Korra exited her avatar state, approaching cautiously. What was that golden transformation? Your power level increased exponentially. I could feel it. That's Super Saiyan, Goku explained casually. It's what happens when I need a power boost. Pretty handy in a tight spot. Bulma picked her way through the rubble, Elder Sanam following behind. Is everyone all right? That was too close. She knelt beside the fragments of the crystal. Careful not to touch them directly. I need to get these back to my lab for analysis. This isn't natural crystal formation. Korra created a small stone container with a gesture, helping Bulma collect the fragments. Someone sent this Badger Mole specifically to attack us. But who? And how did they know we'd be here? Elder Sanam surveyed the destruction of his home with remarkable equanimity. The merging of worlds creates opportunities for those with dark intentions. Ancient evils may find new pathways, new vessels for their influence. Villagers had gathered at a safe distance, watching the aftermath with a mixture of fear and awe. A young woman pushed through the crowd, running toward them with obvious urgency. Avatar Korra, Elder Sanam, she called, stopping before them and bowing quickly. There are reports coming in from all over the region, strange creatures attacking, people developing unusual bending abilities, spirits appearing where they've never been seen before. She cast a curious glance at Goku and Bulma before continuing. And Republic City has sent an urgent message requesting your immediate return. President Moon has called an emergency summit of world leaders. Korra's expression grew serious. This is worse than I thought. If similar incidents are happening elsewhere, we're looking at a potential global crisis. She turned to Goku and Bulma. You should come with me to Republic City. If our worlds are truly merging, we need to understand the full implications, and fast. I agree, Bulma said. My equipment at Capsule Corp H.E. quarters would be ideal for studying these phenomena, but it sounds like your Republic City might have resources and information we need first. Goku nodded enthusiastically. Plus, I still need someone to teach me how to control these new bending powers properly. Seems like they could come in pretty handy. Elder Sanam, will you be alright? Korra asked, concerned about leaving the village after the attack. The old man smiled gently. We have weathered many storms over the centuries, Avatar Korra. We will rebuild, as we always have. Your duty lies beyond our small village now. He turned to Goku, studying him with those penetrating eyes. You carry a great power, son Goku, greater perhaps than you realize. In our world, power and responsibility are intertwined, like vines growing around a tree. Remember this as you learn our ways. Goku bowed respectfully, recognizing wisdom when he encountered it. I will. Thank you for the tea and dumplings. Bulma rolled her eyes, but there was affection in the gesture. Always thinking with your stomach. Come on, We should get moving if we want to reach this Republic City before dark. My aircraft can probably get us there faster, Bulma suggested, gesturing to her sleek vehicle. Korra shook her head, a small competitive smile playing at her lips. Appa's faster than he looks. Race you there. A grin spread across Goku's face. Or I could just teleport us all. No, Bulma interjected quickly. No more teleporting today. The last time you took me along, I couldn't keep food down for 3 days. Teleporting makes you sick, Korra asked, surprised. It's not exactly a smooth ride for non-Saiyans, Bulma explained. Imagine being turned inside out, compressed to the size of a subatomic particle, shot through a tunnel of pure energy. Then reassembled on the other side, all in the span of a heartbeat. Sounds like going through a spirit portal with indigestion, Korra remarked dryly. I think I'll stick with Appa. She turned to the Sky Bison, who had been waiting patiently nearby. What do you say, boy? Up for a quick trip to Republic City? The massive creature rumbled affectionately, licking Korra with a tongue nearly as large as she was. Goku laughed in delight at the sight. I like him already. Can I ride with you? I've never flown on a Sky Bison before. Fine by me, Korra agreed, her initial wariness of Goku noticeably diminished after fighting alongside him. Bulma, you're welcome to join us, or follow in your aircraft. I'll follow, thanks, Bulma decided. I want to run some atmospheric tests during the flight anyway. The dimensional overlap might manifest differently at various altitudes. As they prepared to depart, Korra turned to Goku with a serious expression. Once we reach Republic City, things might get complicated. Political leaders aren't always understanding when it comes to unprecedented situations like, whatever you are. Goku shrugged, unconcerned. Politics has never been my strong suit. I usually just punch the bad guys and let others handle the talking parts. Something tells me it won't be that simple this time, Korra said, though she couldn't help but smile at his straightforward approach. Also, fair warning, when people see you bending multiple elements, they're going to have questions. Lots of questions. Questions are fine, Goku replied, climbing aboard Appa with childlike enthusiasm. As long as there's food at this summit thing. Fighting that badgermole really worked up my appetite. You just ate a dozen dumplings less than an hour ago, Bulma pointed out as she headed toward her aircraft. Exactly. That was a whole hour ago. Korra laughed despite herself as she took position on Appa's head, taking the reins. Yip yip. At her command, the Sky Bison launched into the air with surprising grace, quickly gaining altitude. Bulma's aircraft followed close behind, its engines humming smoothly. As they soared above the mountains, Goku leaned over Appa's saddle, marveling at the landscape below. The world looked both familiar and strange. Recognizable geography interspersed with formations and structures he'd never seen before. In the distance, he could make out a glittering city on a bay, dominated by a statue of a bald man with an arrow on his head. Is that Republic City? He asked, pointing. Korra nodded, pride evident in her voice. Home of the United Republic of Nations, founded by Avatar Aang and Fire Lord Zuko after the 100-Year War. It's where people from all nations live together in harmony. Most of the time, anyway. It's beautiful, Goku said sincerely. Reminds me a bit of West City, where Bulma lives, but with more. I don't know, personality. I heard that. Bulma's voice came rough, a small communication device attached to Appa's saddle. West City has plenty of personality, thank you very much. Korra chuckled, then grew more serious. So in your world, there are no benders. No one can manipulate the elements. Quote, not like you do, Goku confirmed. We have people who can use ki to do amazing things, fly, shoot energy blasts, even increase their physical strength and speed many times over. But controlling earth or water, that's new. And this, Super Saiyan transformation, is that common where you come from? Not really, only Saiyans can do it, and there aren't many of us left. A shadow crossed Goku's normally cheerful face. My home planet was destroyed long ago. As far as I know, only a handful of Saiyans survived, including me, Vegeta, and our sons. Korra was silent for a moment, processing this information. I'm sorry about your planet. I can't imagine what that must be like. Goku's smile returned quickly. It's okay. Earth has been my real home for as long as I can remember. And now it seems like my Earth and your Earth are becoming the same place, which means twice as many interesting people to meet and fight with. You really do love fighting, don't you? Korra observed. It's in my blood, Goku admitted without shame. Saiyans are warriors by nature. But I only fight to protect my friends and to become stronger, not to hurt others. I understand that better than you might think, Korra said quietly. The Avatar's purpose is to maintain balance, not to seek out conflicts. But sometimes, maintaining balance requires fighting for what's right. As they approached Republic City, the differences between their worlds became more apparent. Modern skyscrapers stood alongside ancient-looking temples. Vehicles similar to those in Goku's world shared streets with others that seemed to float without wheels. People dressed in diverse clothing styles filled the sidewalks, some using bending casually as they went about their daily business. Wow, look at that guy using fire to heat up his food cart. Goku pointed excitedly, and that woman over there is using water to clean windows on that tall building. This place is amazing. Korra guided Appa toward a large island in the bay, dominated by a complex of traditional-looking buildings with sweeping roofs and elegant towers. That's Air Temple Island, where I stay when I'm in Republic City. We'll land there first before heading to City Hall for the summit. As they descended toward the island, several figures emerged from the buildings, watching their approach. A tall, bald man with blue arrow tattoos stood at the forefront, his expression concerned. Beside him was a slender woman with long black hair and elegant clothing that marked her as someone of importance. That's Tenzin, Aang's son and my airbending master, Korra explained. And President Zhu Li Moon beside him. Looks like they decided to meet us here instead of at City Hall. This must be serious. Goku nodded, his expression growing more focused. Despite his carefree nature, he could sense the gravity of the situation. Whatever was happening between their worlds, it was more than just an interesting new adventure. The corrupted energy controlling the Badger Mole worried him. It reminded him too much of past enemies who had manipulated and twisted life force for their own dark purposes. Appa landed softly on a stone platform. Goku took a deep breath, preparing himself for whatever challenges lay ahead. New world, new powers, new allies, new enemies. It was a lot to take in, even for someone as adaptable as him. But one thing remained constant: his determination to protect both his old friends and these new ones from whatever threats this merged world might face. Ready? Korra asked, jumping down from Appa's head. Goku grinned, the thrill of adventure overtaking any apprehension. Ready. Together, they walked toward the waiting officials, united by circumstance but forming the beginnings of a powerful alliance, one that would soon be tested in ways neither of them could imagine. Chapter 1 End Chapter 2, The Reluctant Avatar. Dawn painted Air Temple Island in hues of amber and gold, the rising sun casting long shadows across ancient stone. Goku stood at the island's eastern edge, barefoot on cool grass slick with morning dew. His orange gi had been replaced with looser training clothes provided by the Air Acolytes, flowing pants in earth tones and a sleeveless tunic that left his muscled arms bare. The outfit felt strange after decades in his familiar uniform, but Tenzin had insisted proper attire would help align his energy with the elements. Korra circled him, scrutinizing his stance with critical eyes. 3 days had passed since their arrival in Republic City. 3 days of political meetings and scientific discussions that had tested Goku's limited patience. Now, finally, his training would begin. Wider stance, Korra instructed, nudging his foot with her own. Earthbending requires stability. You need to be immovable, like the element itself. Goku adjusted obediently, sinking deeper into the horse stance. It reminded him of his earliest training under Master Roshi, before flight and energy blasts had become his primary techniques. Simple, grounded. He liked it better, Korra acknowledged. Now, feel the earth beneath you. Not just physically. Reach out with your energy. Earth isn't just dirt and rock, it's foundation, substance, permanence. Goku closed his eyes, concentrating. He'd spent his life manipulating ki, directing his internal energy outward in devastating attacks. Bending felt fundamentally different. Rather than projecting energy, it required connecting with something external, establishing a relationship with elements that possessed their own essence. I don't think I'm doing it right, he admitted after several silent minutes. With ki, I'm pushing something out. This feels like I should be pulling something in. Or maybe meeting it halfway. Exactly. Korra's voice brightened with approval. Bending isn't about forcing your will onto the elements. It's a partnership. You guide rather than command. She demonstrated, shifting her weight and extending her arms in a decisive motion. A column of stone erupted from the ground before them, rising 6 feet before settling with barely a sound. Your turn. Goku mimicked her movement, focusing on that strange new energy pathway he'd discovered in the mountains. He felt something respond. A distant rumble, a slight tremor beneath Hi's feet. But the earth remained stubbornly unmoving. Almost, Korra encouraged. You're connecting, but you're still thinking like a key user. Stop trying to push energy into the earth. Listen to what it needs from you. What it needs. Goku frowned, puzzled. It's just rock, right? Korra shook her head. That's like saying ki is just energy. You know it's more complex than that. Each element has its nature, its personality. Earth wants respect. It responds to confidence and stability. Goku considered this, remembering how certain techniques required specific mental states. The spirit bomb. B needed openness and purity of intention. Instant transmission demanded perfect mental clarity and focus. He adjusted his stance again, this time rooting himself more deliberately. He thought of mountains weathering storms, of bedrock supporting entire ecosystems, of continents drifting with ponderous certainty across millennia. Then he moved, not commanding but requesting, a firm invitation rather than a demand. The earth answered. A jagged column rose before him, smaller than Korra's but undeniably responsive to his call. I did it. Goku's face split into a boyish grin. Not bad for a beginner, Korra admitted, the corner of her mouth quirking upward. A bit rough around the edges, but the fundamentals are there. From a nearby pavilion, Bulma looked up from her array of scientific equipment. The readings are fascinating, she called, adjusting dials on a complex device. The energy signature when you bend is completely different from your normal ki pattern, Goku, but there's a harmonic resonance between them. It's like they're complementary frequencies. Save the technical jargon for your research notes, Korra called back, though without real irritation. After initial wariness, she'd developed a grudging respect for Bulma's analytical approach, even if the scientist's insistence on measuring and quantifying everything seemed at odds with the spiritual nature of bending. Speaking of notes, Bulma replied, President Moon has arranged for me to meet with Asami Sato this afternoon. Apparently, Future Industries has technology that might help us understand what's happening between our worlds. Asami's brilliant, Korra agreed. If anyone can help make sense of your dimensional theories, it's her. What about me? Goku asked. Can I come to the meeting too? Absolutely not. Bulma and Korra answered simultaneously. The last time you attended a technical meeting, you fell asleep and snored so loudly you drowned out the quantum physics presentation, Bulma reminded him. And we need to continue your training, Korra added. Earth is just the beginning. We still have water, fire, and air to cover, not to mention helping you control the avatar state. Goku sighed dramatically, but his eyes betrayed his excitement. Fine, more bending practice it is. After breakfast, he added quickly as his stomach released a growl that echoed across the training grounds. Korra laughed. I've never met anyone who eats as much as you do. Even Bolin can't match your appetite. Saiyan metabolism, Goku explained cheerfully. All this power has to come from somewhere. As if summoned by the mention of food, a tall, lean young man with an airbender's shaved head and blue arrow tattoos appeared at the edge of the training ground. Morning meditation has ended, and Pema says breakfast is ready, Kai announced. His eyes lingered curiously on Goku's earthbending attempt. Making progress, I see. Kai. Korra greeted him warmly. Perfect timing. After breakfast, I was hoping you might help demonstrate some basic airbending forms for Goku. Me? Kai looked surprised but pleased. I mean, sure, but wouldn't Master Tenzin be better? Genora. Tenzin's still in emergency meetings with the United Republic Council, and Genora's communing with spirits at the Eastern Air Temple, trying to get clarity on these dimensional disturbances, Korra explained. Besides, your unconventional approach might resonate better with Goku. You both have that improvisational quality. Kai grinned, taking the comparison as the compliment it was intended to be. In that case, I'd be honored. He bowed formally to Goku, who returned the gesture with surprising grace. Great. Goku clapped his hands together. Now, about that breakfast. The Air Temple dining hall buzzed with conversation as acolytes, airbenders, and visitors shared the morning meal. Pema, Tenzin's wife, presided over the controlled chaos with serene efficiency, ensuring everyone's bowl remained full despite Goku's astonishing capacity for rice and dumplings. Is he always like this? She asked Bulma in amazed whisper, watching Goku consume his sixth helping. This is actually restrained by his standards, Bulma replied. You should see him at an all-you-can-eat buffet. Restaurant owners weep. Across the table, Ikki and Milo, two of Tenzin's children, watched Goku with undisguised fascination. So you can really fly without airbending? Milo demanded, his face scrunched in skepticism. Yup, Goku confirmed around a mouthful of food. He swallowed and continued, want to see. Without waiting for an answer, he levitated from his cushion, hovering cross-legged 3 feet above the table. Wicked, Milo exclaimed, while Ikki clapped her hands in delight. Goku, Bulma scolded. We agreed. No showing off in public places. We're not in public, Goku protested, still floating. This is just breakfast with friends. Friends who haven't all been briefed on the full situation. Korra reminded him, though she couldn't suppress a smile at the children's obvious delight. Pema shook her head indulgently. After raising 4 airbender children, very little surprises me anymore. Though I must say, between Avatar Korra and our new visitors, life around here is certainly never dull. Speaking of dull, Korra interjected, checking the time, Ensign's council meeting should be wrapping up soon. We should probably finish up and get back to training before we're pulled into more political discussions. Goku descended back to his cushion with a sigh of relief. Politics bored him senseless. 3 days of emergency summits, strategic planning sessions, and scientific briefings had tested the limits of his attention span. World leaders from the 4 nations had gathered to discuss the implications of merged realities, with Goku and Bulma presented as living evidence of the phenomenon. The Fire Lord, Earth Queen, and Water Tribe chiefs had all wanted demonstrations, explanations, and assurances that Goku's presence wouldn't upset the delicate balance between nations. One more dumpling for the road, Pema offered, already knowing the answer. Goku's face lit up. Yes, please. Air is the element of freedom, Kai explained, demonstrating a swirling motion that sent leaves dancing around the training ground. Unlike Earth, which demands stability, air requires you to release attachment and move without restriction. Goku watched intently, analyzing the young airbender's movements. Despite his carefree personality, Goku possessed a fighter's disciplined attention when learning new techniques. It's almost the opposite of what Korra taught me this morning, he observed. Exactly, Korra confirmed. Each element has its own philosophy, its own approach. That's what makes mastering all 4 so challenging. You need to embody contradictory principles. Contradictory but complementary, Kai added. Like different fighting styles that work together to create a complete warrior. Goku nodded, understanding immediately. Like combining offense and defense, or speed and power. Try it, Kai suggested. Start with the circular stepping pattern I showed you, but don't focus on moving air yet. Just get comfortable with the movement. Goku began following the pattern, his natural athleticism making the complex footwork seem effortless. His movements lacked the airy grace of a trained airbender, retaining something of the solid power of his martial arts background, but the basics were sound. Good, Kai encouraged. Now, as you move, imagine yourself becoming lighter. Think of leaves in the wind, clouds drifting across the sky. Goku continued the pattern, adjusting his energy as instructed. A gentle breeze began to swirl around him, ruffling his wild hair and creating small eddies in the dust at his feet. There you go, Kai exclaimed. You're airbending. The breeze strengthened, lifting fallen leaves into a spiraling column around Goku. His face reflected pure joy at the achievement, not pride or satisfaction, but the simple pleasure of learning something new. Korra watched with mingled admiration and unease. In 3 hours, Goku had made progress that should have taken weeks. His ability to adapt and incorporate new energy techniques was unlike anything she'd seen before. If he continued at this rate, Korra, Goku's voice interrupted her thoughts. The air had settled, leaves drifting back to Earth. You okay? You looked worried. I'm fine, she assured him, shaking off her concerns. That was impressive progress. Let's see if you can direct the air more precisely now. Aim for that stack of meditation cushions. Before Goku could attempt the new exercise, a familiar silhouette appeared at the edge of the training ground. Tenzin strode toward them, his formal council robes billowing around him despite the absence of wind, an unconscious display of airbending that had become habit over decades of mastery. Avatar Korra, he called, his deep voice carrying easily across the space. A moment of your time, please. Korra exchanged a glance with Kai, who nodded understanding. Keep working with him on directional control, she instructed before joining Tenzin at a respectful distance. How bad? She asked without preamble, reading concern in the set of his shoulders. Reports are coming in from across the world, Tenzin replied, keeping his voice low. The dimensional disruptions are accelerating. In the Fire Nation, eruptions of blue energy have been reported around the capital. The Northern Water Tribe reports spirits behaving erratically, speaking of new powers entering their realm. And in Ba Sing Se, there have been multiple sightings of individuals demonstrating abilities that match neither traditional bending nor the key manipulation our visitors describe. Korra frowned. Like what? One witness described a merchant levitating objects without any apparent bending motion. Another reported a child whose skin turned to metal when threatened. Tenzin stroked his beard, a habit when deeply troubled. The Earth Queen is particularly concerned. Her security forces detained 3 individuals yesterday who claimed to be from a place called East City. That's from our world, Korra realized. Bulma mentioned it yesterday. Indeed. And that's not all. Tenzin hesitated, glancing toward Goku, who was now successfully directing small air currents to move meditation cushions across the courtyard. The United Forces have intercepted communications suggesting that certain interested parties have begun hunting people with unusual abilities. There's a black market emerging for the study and exploitation of these new powers. Korra's expression hardened. Human trafficking. Essentially, yes. The Council has authorized increased patrols and established emergency response protocols, but the situation is developing faster than we can respond. And let me guess, they want me to make a public statement. Reassure everyone that the Avatar has everything under control. Bitterness crept into Korra's voice. Tenzin placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. No one expects you to have all the answers, Korra. This situation is unprecedented in recorded history. But people do look to the Avatar in times of uncertainty. That's just it, Korra said quietly. Looking back at Goku, I'm not sure I am the Avatar anymore, at least, not the only one. You are still the bridge between worlds, Tenzin assured her. Your connection to Rava, your experience, your training, these remain uniquely yours. Goku may have access to the elements, but he lacks your spiritual foundation and cultural understanding. He's learning fast, Korra observed. Faster than I did. Learning techniques, perhaps, but wisdom, balance, the philosophical underpinnings that make the Avatar more than just a powerful bender. Tenzin shook his head. Those cannot be acquired in days or weeks. Quote, Korra sighed, acknowledging the truth in his words. You're right. I've finally gotten comfortable with being the Avatar, and now this happens. Quote, consider it an opportunity rather than a threat, Tenzin suggested. You have always carried the burden of being the world's sole protector. Perhaps the universe has sent you an ally. Before Korra could respond, a shout from the training area drew their attention. Kai was backing away from Goku, whose eyes had begun to glow with white light. Wind whipped around him in a strengthening vortex as he rose several feet into the air. The Avatar state, Tenzin breathed. But how? Korra was already running toward them. Goku, she called. Focus on my voice. You need to control it, not let it control you. Goku showed no sign of hearing. The glowing intensity of his eyes had spread, energy crackling around his body in a fusion of Avatar spirit and Saiyan power. Stones tore free from the courtyard, orbiting him along with swirling water drawn from nearby fountains and tongues of flame that appeared from nowhere. What happened? Korra demanded as she reached Kai, who had taken shelter behind a stone column. I don't know. The young airbender shouted over the howling wind. We were practicing directional control, and he suddenly went rigid. Said something about voices calling to him. Then, this. Korra didn't hesitate. Closing her eyes briefly, she accessed her own avatar state, her eyes blazing with the same white light as Goku's. With deliberate movements, she created an air sphere around herself and rose to meet him at eye level. Goku, she called again, her voice resonating with the power of past avatars. I know it's overwhelming. The voices, the memories, the power, it's too much to process at once. Focus on one thing, one anchor. Inside Goku's mind, chaos reigned. Thousands of voices spoke simultaneously, past avatars, unfamiliar spirits, and something else, omething that felt like distant echoes of his Saiyan heritage. Visions flashed before him. Ancient benders raising stone cities from barren earth, early Saiyans developing key techniques to survive on their harsh planet. Avatar Kyoshi separating her peninsula from the mainland, planet Vegeta exploding in a cataclysm of fire and light. Through the cacophony, one voice penetrated, Korra's, steady and certain. He latched onto it, using her presence as a focal point in the storm of sensory input. That's it, she encouraged, sensing his struggle. Find your center. Remember who you are first. Everything else is secondary. Gradually, the whirlwind diminished. The floating debris settled gently back to Earth as Goku regained control, the glow fading from his eyes. He blinked, disoriented, then pitched forward as exhaustion claimed him. Korra caught him, supporting his weight as they descended together. Tenzin and Kai rushed forward to help lower him to the ground. Despite his muscular frame, Goku seemed suddenly smaller. Vulnerable in unconsciousness. Take him to the healing pavilion, Tenzin instructed. I'll send for Kya. No need, came a voice from the courtyard entrance. A tall, woman with graying hair and water tribe clothing strode toward them, water already swirling around her hands. I felt the spiritual disturbance from the harbor. What happened? Accidental triggering of the avatar state. Korra explained as Kya knelt beside Goku. He wasn't prepared for it. Kya's hands moved in fluid patterns over Goku's body, the water glowing with healing energy. His spirit is in turmoil, she observed. It's as though two completely different energy systems are fighting for dominance. Can you stabilize him? Tenzin asked his sister. I can treat the physical symptoms. But this goes deeper than conventional healing can reach. Kya's brow furrowed in concentration. There's something else. Something I've never encountered before. His energy pathways are unlike anything I've seen in a human body. That's because he's not human, came Bulma's voice as she hurried into the courtyard, equipment in hand. He's Saiyan. Different physiological structure, especially regarding energy conductivity. She knelt opposite Kya, activating a handheld scanner. What happened? Avatar state, Korra explained tersely. Unexpected and uncontrolled. Damn it, Bulma muttered. I was afraid of this. The energy readings from Republic City Energy Authority just spiked dramatically. Whatever triggered Goku's episode is affecting the entire region. We need to move him somewhere more secure. Tenzin decided. If he enters the Avatar state again without control, the damage could be catastrophic. The spirit wilds, Korra suggested. The spirit vines might help stabilize the energy fluctuations. Bulma shook her head. Too unpredictable. My readings indicate the spirit wilds are at the epicenter of the dimensional instability. It could make things worse. She checked her scanner again. His vital signs are stabilizing, but his brainwave patterns are all over the place. I have an idea, Kya said suddenly. The healing pools beneath the temple. There, fed by underwater spirit springs that predated even the air nomads' arrival on this island. The water has unique properties. My mother used it to heal Fire Lord Zuko after Azula's lightning strike. It's worth trying, Korra agreed, already gathering her strength to help carry Goku. No need. Bulma reached into her pocket and retrieved a small capsule. With a click and a toss, it exploded into a hovering stretcher. Medical transport. Never leave home without it. Tenzin blinked at the sudden materialization of technology. Remarkable, he murmured as they carefully transferred Goku to the stretcher. This way, Kya directed, leading them toward the oldest part of the temple complex. The healing chamber lay deep beneath Air Temple Island, accessible by a narrow staircase worn smooth by centuries of use. Ancient carvings covered the walls, air bison in flight, meditating monks, and intricate spiritual symbols. The chamber itself was circular, dominated by a pool of water so clear it was almost invisible. Soft blue light emanated from crystals embedded in the ceiling, casting rippling patterns across stone walls. "Help me get him into the water," Kya instructed as the stretcher was lowered to the pool's edge. Together, they eased Goku into the crystalline water. He floated naturally, his expression peaceful despite the turbulence they knew raged within his spirit. Kya moved to the pool's center, bending the water to support and cradle him. "I need silence for this," she said, closing her eyes. "The healing requires complete concentration." The others stepped back, watching anxiously as Kya began a complex healing ritual. The water around Goku began to glow, patterns of light spiraling across his body like luminescent vines. "Will this work?" Bulma whispered to Korra, her scientific skepticism warring with desperate hope for her old friend. "If anyone can stabilize his spirit, it's Kya," Korra assured her. She trained under Master Katara, the greatest healer in history. Minutes stretched into an hour as Kya worked, sweat beading on her forehead despite the chamber's cool air. Occasionally, Goku would stir, murmuring incomprehensible words before settling back into stillness. Finally, Kya opened her eyes, the glow fading from the water. "I've done what I can," she announced, her voice betraying exhaustion. "His energy is stabilizing, but there's something blocking complete harmony between his ki and the elemental energies." "What kind of block?" Korra asked. "It's as though his body remembers one type of energy manipulation so deeply had it resists fully integrating another." Kya guided Goku's floating form toward the edge of the pool. "Imagine spending decades writing with your right hand, then suddenly being told you must use your left. The knowledge is there, but the pathways are unfamiliar." "That makes sense," Bulma mused. "Goku's been channeling ki since childhood. His entire energy system is optimized for it." As they helped him from the water, Goku's eyes fluttered open. "Hey," he said weakly, a shadow of his usual grin appearing. "Did I miss breakfast again?" Relief washed over the group. "Your timing's actually perfect," Korra told him with a smile. "It's almost lunchtime." "Awesome." Goku sat up, water streaming from his clothes. Despite his apparent recovery, Korra noticed a new tension around his eyes. A guardedness that hadn't been there before. Those visions were intense. "What did you see?" Tenzin asked gently. Goku's expression grew distant. "Past avatars, I think. But also, Saiyans, ancient ones, from long before I was born." He looked at Korra. "I think I saw Rava too, at least, a brilliant white spirit that matched your description. But there was something else, something that felt like it belonged to my world. Not yours." "A corresponding spirit." Tenzin stroked his beard thoughtfully. "Perhaps each reality has its own version of Rava and Vadu, different manifestations of light and darkness. Whatever it was, it felt familiar somehow. Like I've encountered it before, but can't remember where or when." Goku shook his head, frustrated by the elusive memory. "Don't force it," Kya advised. "Your spirit needs time to process these new connections. The memories will clarify when they're ready." Goku nodded, then attempted to stand. His legs wobbled beneath him, prompting Kai and Korra to catch him by the arms. "Easy there," Korra cautioned. "The avatar state takes a lot out of you, especially the first few times." "No kidding," Goku agreed. "I feel like I went 10 rounds with Beerus without warming up first." "Beerus?" Tenzin inquired. "God of destruction," Bulma explained casually. "Temperamental cat deity who can obliterate planets when annoyed." "Long story." Tenzin blinked, momentarily speechless. The casual reference to planet-destroying deities was yet another reminder of how different their merged worlds had become. "Perhaps we should continue this discussion over lunch," he suggested finally. "I believe Pema mentioned preparing seaweed noodles today." Goku brightened immediately. "Lead the way." Lunch proceeded without spiritual incidents. Though Pema's astonishment at Goku's recovered appetite suggested she'd need to reconsider the temple's food budget. Afterward, while Goku rested under Kya's watchful eye, Korra joined Bulma on the temple's highest observation deck, where the scientist had established a temporary monitoring station. "The energy fluctuations are increasing in frequency," Bulma reported, showing Korra a display of undulating lines. "See these spikes? They correspond perfectly with Goku's episode this morning." "You think he caused it?" Korra asked, studying the patterns. Not caused. Resonated with. Bulma adjusted a dial, zooming in on a particular section of data. It's like, imagine two tuning forks of slightly different frequencies. When one vibrates near the other, the second begins to vibrate too, creating a harmonic pattern. Goku's energy and these dimensional disturbances are vibrating in harmony. Which means what, exactly? It means he's connected to whatever is happening between our worlds. Bulma turned to face Korra directly. And so are you. Look at this reading, taken when you entered the avatar state to help him. The display showed two distinct energy signatures, moving initially in chaotic patterns before gradually synchronizing into complementary waves. Your energy stabilized his, Bulma explained. When you connected through the avatar state, you create a harmonic bridge between his Saiyan ki and the elemental energy of your world. Korra frowned, processing the implications. So without me, he can't fully control the avatar abilities. And without him, you might not be able to address these dimensional disturbances, Bulma concluded. You're two halves of a solution to a problem neither world was prepared for. Great, Korra sighed. No pressure or anything. Bulma smiled sympathetically. If it helps, Goku works exceptionally well under pressure. It's everyday routine he struggles with. I've noticed, Korra said dryly. Yesterday, he asked if we could skip to the good parts of avatar training. Apparently meditation and philosophical discussions don't qualify. That sounds like Goku, Bulma chuckled. A sharp alarm fr. Her equipment interrupted the conversation. Bulma lunged for the controls, eyes widening at the readings. What is it? Korra demanded. Energy spike. Massive one. Different signature from the ambient disturbances. Bulma's fingers flew across the keyboard. It's concentrated and moving. Southwest of here, near the harbor district. Korra was already moving. That's the industrial sector. Mostly factories and warehouses. Perfect cover for whoever's hunting people with new abilities, Bulma realized, grabbing a compact device and following Korra. We should alert Tenzin. No time, Korra decided, leading them to where her polar bear dog waited in the temple courtyard. Naga can get us there faster than explaining the situation. She vaulted onto the massive animal's back, extending a hand to help Bulma up behind her. Besides, if this is related to those traffickers Tenzin mentioned, we need to move quickly. Bulma hesitated only briefly before accepting Korra's hand. What about Goku? He needs rest, Korra said firmly. And honestly, his subtle investigation skills are limited. We'll reconnoiter first, then call for backup if needed. Fair point, Bulma conceded, settling behind Korra and gripping her waist as Naga launched into motion. Just so you know, I'm not exactly a frontline fighter myself. Good thing I am, then, Korra replied with a confident grin that reminded Bulma strikingly of Goku. The industrial district sprawled along Republic City's southwestern shore, a maze of warehouses, factories, and shipping facilities. Most buildings air constructed from utilitarian metal and concrete, function prioritized over aesthetics. At midday, the area should have been bustling with workers and cargo vehicles. Instead, an unnatural stillness pervaded the district. Korra guided Naga through narrow alleys, following Bulma's increasingly precise directions as they approached the energy signature's source. They dismounted 2 blocks away, continuing on foot to minimize detection risk. It's coming from that warehouse, Bulma whispered, indicating a nondescript building distinguished only by faded red paint on its sliding doors. The energy reading is fluctuating but powerful, like someone's trying to contain something that doesn't want to be contained. Korra nodded, studying the building. No guards were visible, but the absence of workers in the surrounding area suggested deliberate clearing of the zone. We need a closer look, she decided. Stay here with Naga, I'll scout ahead. Be careful, Bulma cautioned. My readings suggest whatever's in there isn't stable. With practiced ease, Korra scaled a neighboring building, using subtle airbending to silence her movements. From the rooftop, she had a clear view of the warehouse's skylight. Crawling to the edge, she peered through dust-streaked glass into the building's interior. What she saw made her blood run cold. The warehouse's center had been converted into a makeshift laboratory. Complex equipment surrounded a circular platform where a young woman was suspended in crackling energy bombs. Men in unmarked uniforms monitored instruments while a tall figure in a hooded robe circled the captive. Hands moving in patterns that were neither traditional bending nor any martial art Korra recognized. With each gesture, energy visibly drained from the suspended woman, flowing into crystalline containers positioned around the platform. The victim's face contorted in silent agony, her body spasming as her life force was systematically extracted. Korra had seen enough. Retreating from the skylight, she returned quickly to where Bulma waited with Naga. Human trafficking confirmed, she reported grimly. They're extracting energy from a captive, and from the equipment setup. It's not their first operation. Bulma's expression hardened. We need to shut them down. Now. Agreed. I count 12 operators inside, possibly more in adjacent rooms. Korra outlined the warehouse layout briefly. The victim is suspended in the center. She's our priority. What's the plan? Wait for backup. Korra's eyes narrowed. People with these merged abilities are being hunted across the world. Every minute we wait, more are at risk. She checked her water skin and adjusted her wrist guards. I'll create a diversion at the main entrance. Once their attention is focused on me, find a way to the captive and see if you can disable the extraction equipment. Are you sure? Bulma asked, concern evident. Even for the Avatar, those are not great odds. I've faced worse, Korra assured her, though the confidence in her voice didn't quite reach her eyes. Besides, we're not looking to capture them all, just rescue the victim and gather intelligence. Bulma reached into her pocket and withdrew what appeared to be a simple pen. Take this. It's a signal beacon. If things go sideways, click it 3 times. It'll alert anyone from my world nearby. Anyone like Goku, you mean? Hopefully. Though given the dimensional instabilities, it might reach others. Bulma attached a small device to her wrist. This will help me interface with their equipment. With luck, I can not only shut it down but extract their research data. Korra nodded approval. Ready, as I'll ever be. Bulma patted Naga's side nervously. Stay close to me, Fuzzy One. I might need a quick exit. Korra moved into position near the warehouse's main entrance while Bulma circled toward a smaller side door, Naga padding silently beside her. Taking a deep breath, Korra centered herself, drawing on years of training and hard-won experience. Then, with deliberate force, she brought her foot down in an earthbending stance that shook the ground beneath the warehouse. The metal doors buckled under the seismic pressure, tearing from their tracks and crashing inward. Korra followed immediately, hands wreathed in flame as she strode into the warehouse. Republic City Police, she announced, though it was technically a bluff. This operation is shut down. Release your captive immediately. The initial shock gave her a crucial advantage. 2 guards near the entrance went down before they could react, concussive air blasts sending them crashing into equipment racks. The others recovered quickly, however, revealing training that went beyond standard security personnel. Attackers moved in coordinated formation, their bending styles an unusual fusion of traditional forms and something less structured. The first sent razor-sharp ice discs slicing through the air the second liquefied the concrete floor beneath Korra's feet. The third, most worrying of all, generated energy that resembled ki, though crudely controlled. Korra responded with the versatility that made the Avatar legendary. A circular sweep of fire melted the ice discs while a twisting leap combined with airbending carried her over the liquefied concrete. Landing on a stack of crates, she entered with a barrage of small stone projectiles that forced her attackers to separate. Across the warehouse, Bulma had successfully entered through the side door and was working her way toward the central platform. Using equipment racks as cover, Naga remained at the entrance, growling menacingly at anyone who approached that escape route. The hooded figure at the platform finally turned away from his victim, revealing a face partially covered by an ornate metal mask. Avatar Korra, he said, his voice distorted by the mask's design. Your interference is unwelcome but not unexpected. Release her, Korra demanded, deflecting another attack while maintaining eye contact with the apparent leader. Whatever you're doing stops now. On the contrary, the figure made a sharp gesture, the extraction equipment hummed louder, accelerating the energy drain. The suspended woman convulsed violently. Your arrival simply means we'll need to expedite our collection. Rage flared within Korra. She dropped into a low stance, preparing to unleash her full power. avatar state and all. Before she could, the leader made another gesture, this one directed at her specifically. Pain lanced through Korra's body, her Kai paths suddenly burning as though injected with molten metal. She stumbled, momentarily disoriented by the unexpected attack on her energy system. Fascinating, the leader commented, approaching with clinical interest. Your energy signature is remarkably similar to our other special subject, though considerably more refined. A natural connection to elemental forces rather than an acquired one. Korra fought through the pain, forcing her limbs to respond. Water from her flask surged outward in a defensive perimeter, buying her seconds to recover. Who are you? She demanded. What do you want? Names are irrelevant. As for what we want. The masked figure glanced at the extraction apparatus. Energy is power. Specialized energy, like yours, like hers, is power that can be studied, replicated, weaponized. The convergence of worlds has created unprecedented opportunities for those with vision to seize. You're stealing people's life force, Korra spat. There's no vision in that, just cruelty and greed. Your perspective is limited by conventional morality, he dismissed. Humanity stands at an evolutionary crossroads. Those who control these new energies will determine our species' future. While he spoke, Bulma had reached the extraction equipment, fingers flying over unfamiliar controls as she attempted to decipher their operation. Naga, sensing her companion's distress, abandoned her position at the door and bounded toward Korra, knocking aside attackers with her massive bulk. The leader noticed the approaching animal and made a dismissive gesture. Contain the beast, he ordered. 3 guards immediately moved to intercept Naga, using earth and metal to create barriers around the polar bear dog. Korra seized the momentary distraction to launch her counterattack. Drawing on all 4 elements simultaneously, she created a spinning vortex that sent equipment and attackers flying. The warehouse's metal roof groaned and buckled as her airbending tore at its supports. Stop her, the leader commanded. Full containment protocol. Multiple attackers shifted focus, producing small crystalline devices from their uniforms. As one, they activated the devices, which emitted a high-pitched tone that made Korra's vision blur. Her bending faltered as the sound disrupted her connection to the elements. Energy dampening technology, the leader explained with evident satisfaction. Developed specifically for individuals with extraordinary abilities. Not perfect yet, but effective enough. Korra dropped to one knee, fighting against the dampening effect through sheer willpower. Across the warehouse, she saw Bulma working frantically at the extraction controls, desperation evident in her movements as the captive woman's life force continued draining away. In that critical moment, when defeat seemed imminent, the warehouse ceiling exploded inward in a shower of metal and glass. A figure descended through the opening, wreathed in golden light that pushed back the shadows. Sorry I'm late to the party, Goku announced, his Super Saiyan aura illuminating the warehouse interior like midday sun. Traffic was terrible. The dampening crystals shattered instantly in the presence of his overwhelming energy. Guards who had been advancing on Korra now backed away, weapons raised uncertainly against this new threat. The leader showed no fear, only intense interest. Extraordinary, he murmured. A completely different energy signature. Pure power without elemental affinity. He reached into his robe, withdrawing a device more sophisticated than those his followers carried. Let's see how you respond to advanced dampening. The device activated with a sharp whine. Goku paused mid-air, head tilting curiously as he felt the dampening field attempt to suppress his energy. For a moment, his aura flickered, then stabilized as he simply increased his power output, overwhelming the technology through brute force. That tickles, he said with a grin that contained no humor. His expression hardened as he spotted the suspended woman and the extraction equipment. Let her go, now. Remarkable resistance, the leader observed, apparently unconcerned by Goku's immunity to his technology. Perhaps a different approach is required. He gestured to his followers. Release the prototype. A side door slid open, revealing a massive figure hunched in shadow. As it stepped into the light, even Goku's confident expression faltered momentarily. The creature resembled a human in basic shape only. Its disproportionate body bulged with unnatural musculature, skin stretched tight over a frame that seemed constructed rather than grown. Most disturbing were the crystals embedded throughout its flesh, identical to those used in the extraction process. Beautiful, isn't it? The leader said proudly. Our first successful energy integration subject. Conventional human tissue enhanced with crystallized elemental energy and modified key pathways. Still unstable, but remarkably powerful. The creature roared, the sound containing echoes of human pain beneath bestial rage. The crystals embedded in its body pulsed W.I.T.H. sickly light as it charged toward Goku with surprising speed for its bulk. Goku met the charge directly, catching the creature's massive fists in his hands. The impact created a shockwave that shattered nearby equipment and sent unprepared guards tumbling. For a moment, they struggled in apparent stalemate, then the creature's crystals flared brighter, drawing energy from the surrounding environment in a grotesque parody of bending. Strengthened by the absorbed energy, the creature broke Goku's hold and landed a devastating blow to his midsection, sending him crashing through a support column. Korra, recovered from the dampening effect, seized the opportunity created by the creature's focus on Goku. With precise waterbending, she severed the energy tethers holding the captive woman suspended, while simultaneously using metal cables to pull Bulma away from the increasingly unstable extraction equipment. We need to destroy that apparatus, Bulma shouted as Korra pulled her to relative safety. It's drawing ambient energy at an exponential rate. The leader, seeing his prize captive freed, abandoned scientific curiosity for pragmatism. Initiate facility purge, he ordered, already moving toward a concealed exit. Download all data and initiate sterilization protocols. Warning klaxons blared throughout the warehouse. Red emergency lights cast everything in crimson shadow. As countdown timers appeared on multiple screens. They're going to destroy everything, including any evidence of what they've been doing, Bulma realized. And probably us along with it. Goku RGED from the rubble of the shattered column, brushing concrete dust from his hair. The prototype creature charged him again, but this time Goku was prepared. Sidestepping with impossible speed, he delivered a precise strike to one of the larger crystals embedded in the creature's shoulder. The crystal cracked, leaking energy that the creature seemed to feel as pain. It howled, clutching the damaged area as its movements became more erratic. The crystals are its weakness, Goku called to Korra. They're channeling power but also causing instability. Korra nodded understanding, supporting the rescued captive with one arm. She used her free hand to bend metal fragments into needle-sharp projectiles, targeting the crystals embedded in the creature's back. Each successful hit caused more energy leakage and increasing disorientation in their opponent. The warehouse trembled as the purge countdown continued. Equipment began self-destructing in controlled detonations designed to eliminate evidence while support structures were systematically weakened. We need to leave now, Bulma shouted over the escalating chaos. This place is coming down in less than a minute. Goku glanced at the creature, which was now stumbling blindly, energy bleeding from multiple damaged crystals. Despite its creation as a weapon, he could sense the human suffering beneath its monstrous exterior. We can't just leave it, he insisted. There's still a person in there somewhere. There's no time, Bulma countered as another support beam crashed nearby. Korra made the decision, handing the weakened captive to Bulma. She moved toward the creature with determined strides. Get everyone out, she instructed Goku. I'll handle this. Before he could protest, Korra entered the avatar state, her eyes blazing with white light. With movements that combined waterbending precision and earthbending strength, she systematically extracted the remaining crystals from the creature's body, drawing out the corrupted energy they contained. The process was visibly excruciating for both Korra and the creature. Each crystal removed caused the monstrous form to shrink slightly, features becoming incrementally more human. Korra contained the extracted energy in a swirling sphere between her palms, its color gradually shifting from sickly purple to clearer blue as she purified it. 30 seconds to complete purge, an automated voice announced as the warehouse shuddered more violently. Korra, Goku called. We have to go. Just a moment more, she gasped, the strain evident in her voice. Even through the avatar state's power. The last crystal came free, and the creature collapsed, its form now recognizably human, a man, emaciated and unconscious but alive. The corrupted energy core, had extracted pulsed dangerously in her control, fighting her purification attempts. I can't stabilize it, she realized, the avatar state flickering as her strength waned. Goku appeared beside her, placing his hands alongside hers around the energy sphere. Together, he said simply. Their energies merged, Korra's connection to elemental forces and spiritual balance combining with Goku's raw power and ki control. The corrupted energy between them gradually stabilized, condensing into a small crystalline sphere that glowed with steady blue light. 15 seconds to purge, the automated system warned. Time to go, Goku said, scooping up the unconscious man with one arm while maintaining his connection to the energy sphere with Korra. Grab onto me. Korra looped her arm through his, maintaining her half of the energy containment. Bulma was already holding the rescued captive securely, and Naga pressed against Korra's side, intelligent enough to understand the danger. Everyone touching. Hold tight and don't let go, Goku instructed, placing 2 fingers to his forehead. Concentration creased his features as he extended his instant transmission to include multiple passengers. 5 seconds to purge. 4, 3, 2. The warehouse vanished around them, replaced instantly by the tranquil surroundings of Air Temple Island's courtyard. Monks and acolytes IED out in surprise at their sudden appearance, scattering meditation cushions in their haste to assist. Medical help, quickly, Bulma called, already lowering the rescued woman gently to the ground. And get Kya. Tenzin emerged from the temple at a run, Kai close behind. What happened? He demanded, taking in the injured captives and the exhausted condition of both Korra and Goku, who still jointly contained the crystalline energy sphere. Human trafficking operation confirmed, Korra reported tersely, her avatar state now fully receded. Energy harvesting. We rescued 2 victims, but He leaders escaped before we could apprehend them. And destroyed their facility to cover their tracks, Bulma added grimly. But not before I downloaded this. She held up a small device triumphantly. Complete data cache from their main system. If we're lucky, it contains information on their other operations. Kya arrived, immediately assessing the 2 unconscious victims. Get them to the healing pavilion. She directed the acolytes who had gathered to help. These energy deprivation symptoms are severe, especially in this one. She indicated the man they had rescued from the prototype state. What about that? Tenzin asked, pointing to the glowing sphere that Goku and Korra still maintained between them. Corrupted energy, Korra explained, fatigue evident in her voice. Mixture of bending energy and ki. Twisted for weapons research. We can't just release it, it's unstable. And we can't maintain this containment indefinitely, Goku added, sweat beading on his forehead from the prolonged effort. Jinora stepped forward from the gathering crowd, her spiritual perceptiveness immediately grasping the situation. The meditation nexus, she suggested. The crystal array there, was designed to channel and purify spiritual energy. Worth trying, Kya agreed. Can you make it there? Korra nodded determination, though her legs trembled with exhaustion. Goku looked little better. The morning's Avatar State episode combined with the recent battle and energy containment taxing even his formidable stamina. Together, they followed Jinora to a secluded garden where crystal formations emerged naturally from the ground in a perfect circle. Ancient air nomad symbols were carved into each crystal, glowing faintly in response to the sphere's proximity. Place it in the center, Jinora instructed. The array should stabilize the energy long enough for natural purification. Carefully, Korra and Goku lowered the sphere into the circle's center. The moment it touched the ground, the surrounding crystals pulsed with light, creating a containment field that relieved them of the burden. Both collapsed to sitting positions, breathing heavily as the strain released. That was too close, Korra murmured, watching the corrupted energy slowly dissipate within the crystal array's purifying influence. But effective, Goku pointed out with weary optimism. We saved those people and got valuable intelligence. At significant risk, Tenzin admonished, though his expression showed more concern than anger. Confronting an unknown enemy without proper backup was reckless, Korra. I had backup, she countered, glancing at Goku, though I didn't exactly plan for him to crash through the ceiling. Making an entrance is kind of my specialty, Goku admitted with a shadow of his usual grin. Besides, Bulma's signal device worked perfectly. Signal device. Korra turned to Bulma, who had followed them to the meditation garden. The pen I gave you, Bulma explained. You activated it during the fight. I didn't, Korra frowned. It was in my pocket the whole time. It must have triggered automatically when your energy patterns indicated distress, Bulma theorized. I designed it to be responsive to specific biometric signatures. So it essentially called for help when you were in danger, Tenzin summarized. Fortunate, if unintended, Kya returned from the healing pavilion. Her expression grim. The victims are stabilized, but their conditions are complicated. The woman's energy pathways show signs of systematic extraction over several days. The man's case is worse. His entire cellular structure was altered by those crystals. Recovery will be difficult for both. Will they make it? Korra asked softly. I believe so, but full recovery isn't guaranteed. This type of energy manipulation. Kya shook her head. It violates fundamental spiritual principles. The human body isn't designed to have its essence forcibly extracted or altered. These energy syndicate people clearly don't care about spiritual principles, Bulma said darkly. From what I glimpsed in their data, they're treating the dimensional convergence as an unprecedented opportunity for weapons development and power consolidation. Energy syndicate, Tenzin questioned. That's what they called themselves in their internal documentation. Appropriate, if unimaginative. Bulma held up her data device. I need to analyze this information thoroughly. With luck, it will reveal their organizational structure, other facilities, perhaps even their leadership. You'll have whatever resources you need, Tenzin assured her. President Moon has authorized full cooperation between Future Industries and your capsule corporation. Good. Bulma's expression hardened with determination. Because this is just the beginning. If they're systematically targeting people affected by the dimensional convergence, we need to move quickly to protect potential victims. Which brings us back to training. Korra said, looking at Goku. You need to master these new abilities properly. What happened today proved two things. Our energy systems can work together effectively, and our enemies are already exploiting the convergence for their own purposes. Goku nodded, serious despite his exhaustion. I'm ready to learn. Today showed me how much I still don't understand about this avatar stuff. And I need to understand more about Ki and how it interacts with our bending energy, Korra acknowledged. We'll train together, each teaching the other. A balanced approach, Tenzin approved. The air nomad philosophy teaches that true understanding comes from recognizing that opposing forces are often complementary rather than contradictory. Like yin and yang, Jinora added. Different energies that create harmony when properly balanced. Are like food and training, Goku suggested with renewed enthusiasm. Both essential, but for different reasons. Only UW. Old compare cosmic energy balance to meal planning, Bulma sighed, though affection tinged her exasperation. Speaking of meals, Korra said, rising with visible effort. I think we've earned one after today's excitement. Absolutely. Goku agreed, his energy seemingly returning at the mere mention of food. Fighting energy stealing bad guys really works up an appetite. As they made their way back toward the main temple, Korra found herself watching Goku with new appreciation. Despite his sometimes childlike enthusiasm, he had demonstrated both tremendous power and surprising sensitivity during the warehouse confrontation. His willingness to risk himself to save even the prototype creature, a being literally created to fight him, revealed a compassion that matched his strength. Perhaps Tenzin was right. Perhaps the universe had sent her an ally precisely when she needed one most. The thought was both comforting and unsettling. For years, she had carried the sole responsibility of being the Avatar. The world's protector and spiritual bridge. Sharing that burden should have felt like relief. Instead, she felt an unexpected competitive spark ignite within her. If Goku could learn bending so quickly, then she would master Ki manipulation just as swiftly. Their partnership would be one of equals, each bringing unique strengths to complement the other. Behind them, in the meditation garden, the crystal array continued its purification work. The corrupted energy sphere gradually transformed, its purple darkness giving way to clearer light. By midnight, the process would complete, leaving behind a perfectly balanced crystal containing harmonized energy, neither purely Ki nor purely elemental, but something new. Something that, like Goku and Korra themselves, represented the first successful integration of two worlds that were never meant to merge, yet somehow fit together as though designed for harmony. Chapter 2 End Chapter 3, Tournament of Two Worlds. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first Harmony Games. where the greatest fighters from across our newly merged world come together in a celebration of skill, power, and unity. The announcer's voice boomed across Republic City's newly constructed pro-bending arena, magnified by both technology and subtle sound bending from assistants positioned throughout the massive structure. Sunlight streamed through the arena's glass dome, highlighting the elaborate central platform where combatants would soon face off. Goku adjusted the fabric bands around his wrists, bouncing lightly on the balls of his feet. As he observed the gathering crowd from a competitor's waiting area, 2 weeks had passed since the warehouse incident, 2 weeks of intensive training with Korra and preparation for this unprecedented event. What had begun as a diplomatic initiative, a friendly competition to ease tensions between merging cultures, had evolved into something far more significant, the first official gathering of fighters from both worlds. Nervous, Korra appeared beside him, dressed in a modernized version of traditional Water Tribe combat attire, practical but elegant, with her hair pulled back in a simple style that framed her face. Excited, Goku corrected, grinning. So many strong fighters in one place. It's like a buffet of different techniques and styles. Korra shook her head, amused despite herself. Only you would compare a high-stakes international tournament to food. Speaking of which, Goku glanced hopefully toward the refreshment table. No, Korra said firmly. You already had 4 pre-competition meals. Any more and you'll be too sluggish for your first match. Fine, Goku sighed dramatically. But right after my match. Yes, you can eat then, she conceded. Assuming you win. That's pretty much guaranteed, came a new voice, confident and feminine. They turned to find Ty Lee approaching, her traditional Kyoshi warrior face paint contrasting with the easy grace of her movements. Though in her 50s, she moved with the litheness of someone half her age, her figure still slender and athletic beneath the green battle dress of her order. The legendary Son Goku, undefeated in his world, Ty Lee's gray eyes sparkled with mischief as she stopped before them. I've been looking forward to meeting you. Your reputation precedes you. And you are? Korra asked, a hint of territorial edge in her voice that surprised even her. Ty Lee, head of the Kyoshi warriors and Kai blocking instructor to the Earth Kingdom's elite forces. She bowed formally, though he gesture contained a gymnast's fluid grace. Avatar Korra, it's an honor. Suki spoke highly of you. You knew Suki. Korra's demeanor softened immediately. She was my mentor after the 100-Year War, Ty Lee confirmed. She taught me that true strength comes in many forms, some obvious, some hidden. Her gaze shifted to Goku, assessing him with experienced eyes. I'm particularly interested in how Kai paths work in someone from another dimension. Your energy flow must be fascinating. Goku tilted his head, curiosity piqued. Kai paths. You mean like key pathways? In our world, Kai is the energy that flows through all living things, Ty Lee explained. Benders manipulate external elements by channeling their internal Kai. Non-benders like me can still use Kai, in my case, to temporarily block others' abilities. You can stop bending. Goku's eyes widened with interest. Just by touching someone, precisely the right pressure points in precisely the right sequence, Ty Lee confirmed with a modest smile that didn't quite hide her pride. Would you like a demonstration? Before Korra could intervene, Goku enthusiastically thrust his arm forward. Sure, with movements too quick for most observers to follow. Ty Lee's fingers danced across Goku's extended forearm, applying precise pressure to seemingly random points. Goku felt a strange tingling sensation followed by an UMB-ness spreading from his elbow to fingertips. Try bending now, Ty Lee suggested. Goku concentrated, attempting to summon a small flame, a technique he'd mastered over the past weeks. Nothing happened. That's amazing, he exclaimed, genuinely impressed rather than concerned. How long does it last? For most people, about 30 minutes, Ty Lee replied. For someone with your energy reserves, I'd guess considerably less. Your Kai flow is extraordinarily powerful. As if on cue, Goku felt sensation returning to his fingertips, the numbness receding rapidly. Within seconds, he could produce a small flame, though the effort required more concentration than usual. Incredible, he murmured, a non-destructive way to neutralize an opponent. I've never seen anything like it. Kai blocking isn't unique to me. Ty Lee demurred, though she clearly appreciated his admiration. But the Kyoshi warriors have refined the technique beyond what most practitioners can achieve. You must show me more after the tournament. Goku said eagerly. This could be incredibly useful. Tai Li's smile widened. I'd be delighted. Perhaps we could exchange techniques. I'm curious about your key manipulation. It's a date. Goku agreed readily, oblivious to the loaded nature of his phrasing. Korra cleared her throat. The opening ceremonies are about to begin. We should join the other competitors. Of course. Tai Li acquiesced gracefully. Best of luck to you both. May the most skillful fighter prevail. With a final smile that lingered primarily on Goku, she moved away toward the Earth Kingdom delegation. She seems nice, Goku observed, still flexing his previously numbed arm with fascination. Was Korra's noncommittal response. Just remember why we're here. This tournament isn't just about competition, it's a diplomatic opportunity to demonstrate how our worlds can coexist peacefully. Right, Goku nodded, though his attention had already shifted to scanning the gathering competitors. Hey, is that Bolin over there with the lavabender? And who's the guy with the glowing hands in the Fire Nation section? Before Korra could answer, a familiar energy nature prickled at the edge of Goku's awareness. His head snapped toward the entrance as a compact, powerfully built man strode into the competitor's area. Despite wearing Earth Kingdom-inspired formal attire, his rigid posture and pronounced widow's peak were unmistakable. Vegeta, Goku breathed, genuine joy lighting his features. He made it. The Saiyan prince surveyed the room with characteristic disdain. Arms crossed over his chest. When his eyes locked on Goku, his scowl deepened, but he made his way directly toward them, ignoring the curious stares of other competitors. Kakarot, he acknowledged curtly when he reached them, using Goku's Saiyan birth name as he always did. His gaze shifted to Korra, assessing her with a single sweeping glance. So this is the other avatar. Prince Vegeta, Korra returned evenly, recognizing the challenge in his tone. I've heard a lot about you. HMPH. No doubt Kakarot has been exaggerating my capabilities as usual. Despite his dismissive words, Vegeta's pride was evident. Or perhaps diminishing them to make himself look better. Actually, he speaks quite highly of you, Korra replied. Calls you the only fighter who consistently pushes him to improve. This seemed to catch Vegeta off guard, though he masked it quickly. Naturally, someone has to keep him from growing complacent. He refocused on Goku, his expression hardening. We need to talk. Privately. Sure thing. Goku agreed cheerfully. Korra, would you mind? It's fine, she assured him, recognizing the importance of the reunion. I should check in with Tenzin anyway. The world leaders will be arriving soon for the opening ceremony. As she departed, Vegeta led Goku to a secluded corner of the preparation area, his body language tense with contained energy. Bulma told me everything. He began without preamble. This merging of worlds. Your new elemental abilities. The avatar state. His voice dropped lower, intensity radiating from every syllable. Is it true? Have you truly found yet another source of power? The question contained the complex mixture of rivalry, respect, and resentment that had defined their relationship for decades. Goku answered carefully, knowing Vegeta's pride was a double-edged sword. It's not like Super Saiyan or Ultra Instinct, he explained. It's more like having access to a different energy system altogether. The elements work differently from Ki, connecting rather than projecting. Show me, Vegeta demanded. Goku glanced around the crowded preparation area. Here, now, a small demonstration will suffice, Vegeta insisted. I need to see it with my own eyes. With a shrug, Goku extended his hand palm up. Concentrating briefly, he created a small flame that danced above his skin without burning him. With a subtle shift in posture, something Vegeta's trained eye immediately caught. The flame transformed into a rotating sphere of water, then a spinning pebble, and finally a miniature whirlwind before dissipating entirely. Vegeta's expression remained impassive, but Goku sensed the turmoil beneath. For years, they had advanced in parallel, each new transformation or technique achieved by one soon matched by the other. This development represented something different, a divergence in their shared path. Can you teach me? Vegeta finally asked, the question clearly costing him considerable pride. Goku's expression softened with genuine regret. I don't think so. Korra says it's connected to something called Rava, a light spirit that only bonds with the Avatar. In their world, there's only one Avatar at a time. And now there are two, Vegeta concluded bitterly. Both you, naturally. It's not like I asked for it, Goku pointed out reasonably. It just happened when the worlds started merging. Things just happen to you with remarkable frequency, Kakarot. Vegeta's tone was caustic, but the heat was already fading from his anger. First the legendary Super Saiyan transformation. Then each subsequent level, and now this. If it helps, Goku offered, I'm still learning to control it. The Avatar state is especially tricky. It comes with all these past lives, ND voices an energy that's really different from going Super Saiyan. Vegeta's interest was visibly piqued despite his resentment. Past lives. You mean you access the memories and powers of previous avatars? Something like that, Goku confirmed. It's pretty overwhelming, actually. Korra's been helping me understand it better, but I've only managed to control it partially so far. Vegeta processed this information with a tactician mind. And can you combine these abilities? Super Saiyan and elemental bending simultaneously. I'm working on it, Goku admitted. The energies are different enough that it's challenging to maintain both at once. Like trying to pat your head and rub your stomach while reciting the alphabet backward. This analogy finally broke Vegeta's stern demeanor. A reluctant smirk tugging at his lips. A task that would indeed challenge your limited mental faculties. Goku laughed, recognizing the insult as Vegeta's way of returning to familiar footing. Exactly, but I'm getting better at it. Maybe you could help me train. You've always been better at energy control than me. The suggestion was perfectly calculated, whether intentionally or not, to appeal to Vegeta's pride. The opportunity to position himself as the teacher rather than the student was too tempting to resist. Perhaps, Vegeta allowed magnanimously. Your form has always been sloppy. I imagine these bending techniques require more precision than your usual brute force approach. That's what Korra keeps saying, Goku agreed cheerfully. Though she uses nicer words. Before Vegeta could respond, a gong sounded throughout the arena, signaling competitors to assemble for the opening ceremony. Around them, fighters of all descriptions began moving toward the main floor. We should join them, Goku suggested. I'm in the third preliminary match, you. Seventh, Vegeta replied, against someone called the Boulder. Ridiculous name. Goku grinned. This is going to be fun. The opening ceremony exceeded even Republic City's grandest traditions. President Moon had spared no expense, understanding the diplomatic significance of this first official competitive event between merged worlds. The procession of fighters entered the arena by nation and world of origin, with specially commissioned music blending traditional instruments from both realities. In the Royal Observation Box, dignitaries from every major power watched with expressions ranging from diplomatic neutrality to undisguised fascination. Fire Lord Izumi sat beside the Supreme Kai, the IR conversation animated despite the formality of the occasion. Earth Queen Hu Ting observed with imperial aloofness, though her eyes narrowed with interest when the Capsule Corporation delegation entered. Water Tribe chiefs Desna and Eska maintained their typical deadpan expressions, but leaned forward perceptibly when Goku and Korra appeared together, representing the unique Avatar contingent. Quite the spectacle, Bulma commented from her position in the Special Observers section reserved for non-competing notables. Though I'm still not convinced this tournament was the best use of resources with everything else happening. On the contrary, replied Asami Sato, seated beside her. The head of Future Industries had become Bulma's frequent collaborator over the past 2 weeks, their shared technological brilliance bridging cultural differences. Bringing fighters together publicly accomplishes several objectives simultaneously. It demonstrates peaceful cooperation, allows assessment of various power levels, and distracts the public from more concerning developments, like the Energy Syndicate's continued operations. Bulma asked quietly, mindful of potential eavesdroppers despite the crowd's roar. Asami nodded subtly. 3 more incidents confirmed since the warehouse raid, all following the same pattern: abduction of individuals demonstrating merged abilities, energy extraction. Then facility abandonment before authorities arrive. Any progress identifying their leadership? Nothing concrete. The data you recovered has been partially decrypted, but key sections remain unreadable. Their security protocols are sophisticated, blending technologies from both our worlds. Bulma's expression hardened. They're adapting faster than we are. That worries me. It should, Asami agreed. But today's event may provide unexpected intelligence. My sources indicate several syndicate scouts are likely present, evaluating potential acquisitions among the competitors. You mean targets? Bulma corrected grimly. Precisely. Which is why I've implemented additional security measures. Asami gestured discreetly toward subtle technological installations around the arena's perimeter. Energy signature scanners based on your designs, modified to detect the specific frequency patterns associated with syndicate equipment. Clever, Bulma acknowledged with professional appreciation. Though I doubt they'd be bold enough to attempt anything during such a high-profile event. Perhaps not an abduction, Asami conceded. But observation certainly. Possibly testing. Testing what? New dampening technologies. Countermeasures against specific abilities. The warehouse equipment you described suggested systematic research into neutralizing various power types. Their conversation paused as President Moon rose to deliver the opening address. Her speech, carefully crafted to acknowledge both traditions while emphasizing shared values, received polite applause from the assembled dignitaries and enthusiastic cheers from the general audience. Let the harmony games begin, she concluded, triggering spectacular displays of bending and key manipulation from ceremonial performers positioned around the arena. As the competitors dispersed to prepare for their respective matches, Bulma noticed a figure moving purposefully through the crowd toward their section. Lin Baifeng, Republic City's chief of police, approached with the direct efficiency that characterized all her actions. Sato. Brief, she acknowledged curtly, using Bulma's surname in typical Baifeng fashion. Security scan complete. 27 individuals flagged for monitoring, 4 with energy signatures matching warehouse profiles. Syndicate? Asami asked, immediately alert. Possibly. Too soon to confirm. I've positioned plainclothes officers throughout the facility. Lin's expression suggested professional concern rather than alarm. Be advised. Unusual energy fluctuations detected near the southeastern maintenance tunnels. Consistent with dimensional instability rather than intentional manipulation. The spirit vines run beneath that section, Asami noted. We should inform Tenzin. Already done. Air acolytes are monitoring the spiritual aspects while my officers handle physical security. Lin's gaze swept the arena with practiced efficiency. This many powerful individuals in one location during a period of dimensional instability, recipe for complications. You mean disaster, Bulma translated. I mean complications, Lin repeated firmly. We're prepared for reasonable contingencies. Just keep your fighters focused on the competition rather than showing off. Especially those with destructive capabilities. Her pointed look made clear which competitors concerned her most. Goku knows the rules, Bulma assured her. No transformations beyond the first level of Super Saiyan, no planet-threatening energy attacks, and absolutely no destroying the arena. See that he remembers, Lin advised before departing as abruptly as she'd arrived. She's intense, Bulma observed. Reminds me of Vegeta, but with better social skills. Asami laughed. That might be the kindest description of Chief Baifeng I've ever heard. Their attention shifted to the tournament floor, where the first preliminary match was about to begin, a contest between a Northern Water Tribe waterbender and a martial artist from the Turtle School. The announcer's voice filled the arena once more. Ladies and gentlemen, our first match pits Master Pakak of the Northern Water Tribe against Krillin of the Turtle School. Water versus Ki in our opening demonstration of cross-disciplinary combat. The crowd roared approval as the competitors took their positions. Bulma leaned forward, professional interest temporarily overshadowing her security concerns. This tournament would provide invaluable data on how different power systems interacted, data that might prove crucial in understanding the broader implications of their merging worlds. In the competitors' preparation area, Goku watched the preliminary matches with undisguised enthusiasm. Krillin had handily defeated his waterbending opponent, though with more difficulty than expected, the waterbender's adaptability compensating somewhat for the power differential. The second match between an earthbender and a Fire Nation swordmaster had demonstrated how traditional fighting styles maintained relevance even in this new era of merged abilities. You're up next, Korra reminded him, returning from her own preparation routine. Remember the limitations we discussed. No Super Saiyan unless absolutely necessary, minimal property damage, and don't accidentally trigger the Avatar state, Goku recited dutifully. I'll be careful, I promise. Quote, your opponent is Master Yu Jin from the Fire Nation, Korra continued. Traditional firebender, but intelligence suggests he's developed hybrid techniques since the convergence, possibly incorporating aspects of ki manipulation. Sounds interesting. Goku's eyes lit with anticipation rather than concern. Goku. Korra's tone grew serious. This isn't just about having fun. People are watching to understand what the Avatar represents in this new merged world. Your actions reflect on both of us. The responsibility in her words penetrated Goku's competition excitement. He nodded, his expression matching her seriousness. I understand. I'll represent us well. Son Goku to the main arena, came the announcement over the speaker system. Preliminary Match 3 will commence in 5 minutes. Goku rose, rolling his shoulders to loosen them. Any last advice? Yes, Korra said after brief consideration. Don't just win, connect. Show them that strength can unite rather than divide. With a thoughtful nod, Goku made his way to the arena entrance. As he stepped onto the tournament floor, the crowd's reaction was immediate and electric. Of his unique status as both Saiyan warrior and Avatar had spread throughout Republic City, making him the competition's most discussed participant. Across the platform stood Master Yu Jin, a dignified man in his late 30s wearing traditional Fire Nation combat attire modified for greater mobility. His calm demeanor suggested experience and confidence, though the slight tension in his stance betrayed awareness of Goku's reputation. Competitors, approach center, the referee instructed. They met at the platform's center, bowing formally to each other. It is an honor to face the legendary Son Goku, Yu Jin said. Genuine respect in his voice. Your reputation precedes you. The honor's mine, Goku replied with equal sincerity. I've been looking forward to experiencing firebending from a true master. The referee reviewed the rules. Victory by knockout, submission, or ring out. No lethal techniques. Respect for opponent's yielding signal, before directing them to starting positions. Begin, he called, leaping clear of the combat area. Yu Jin opened with traditional firebending form, sending a series of precise flame bursts toward Goku in rapid succession. Rather than dodging as expected, Goku adopted a firebending stance Korra had taught him, redirecting each burst around his body in circular patterns before dissipating them harmlessly. The crowd murmured in surprise, Son Goku, responding to fire with fire rather than his famed ki techniques. Yu Jin paused momentarily, reassessing. You've learned our ways quickly, he observed, genuine curiosity in his voice. I've had an excellent teacher. Goku replied, but I'm still learning. Show me more. Something in his childlike enthusiasm resonated with Yu Jin, whose severe expression softened slightly. The Airbender shifted to a more advanced form, creating whip-like extensions of flame that attacked from multiple angles simultaneously. Goku responded with increasing fluidity, incorporating airbending evasions with earthbender stances as he navigated the complex assault. He had yet to launch a single attack of his own, focusing entirely on defensive techniques drawn from bending traditions. In the royal observation box, Fire Lord Izumi leaned forward with evident interest. Remarkable adaptation, she commented to Tenzin, seated nearby. He's incorporating multiple bending philosophies seamlessly, yet deliberately withholding his native abilities, Tenzin observed. A demonstration of respect rather than a true contest. Down in the competitor's area, Vegeta watched with growing impatience. Attack already, Kakarot, he muttered. This isn't a dancing exhibition. As if hearing him, Goku finally transitioned to offense, but not with ki blasts or physical strikes. Instead, he drew chair from atmospheric moisture using techniques Korra had drilled into him for hours, creating a countering wave that extinguished Yu Jin's flame attacks and momentarily obscured visibility between them. When the steam cleared, Goku had closed distance. Rather than striking, he extended his open palm, flames dancing harmlessly above it, matching Yu Jin's own element. Fire against fire just creates more destruction, Goku said, voice carrying in the suddenly hushed arena. But fire with water, earth, and air creates balance. As he spoke, the flame in his hand transformed sequentially through all 4 elements before dissipating. The symbolic demonstration brought murmurs of appreciation from benders in the audience who recognized the philosophical statement embedded within the combat demonstration. Yu Jin's expression reflected growing understanding. With deliberate movement, he extinguished his own flames and shifted to an unfamiliar stance, one that appeared to blend traditional Phi rebending positioning with the centered balance of ki manipulation. Then let us find balance together, the firebender suggested, by exchanging knowledge rather than simply trading blows. What foe? Load was less combat than collaborative demonstration, Yu Jin displaying traditional firebending techniques while Goku responded with complementary movements, sometimes mirroring, sometimes contrasting. Each exchange building upon the previous in increasingly complex patterns. The audience watched in fascinated silence as fire met water, earth, and air in sequences that demonstrated harmony rather than opposition. Ki flowed alongside Kai, neither dominating but both enhanced by their interaction. In the observation box, President Moon turned to her advisors. "This wasn't what I expected," she admitted. "But it may be exactly what we needed." A masterful political statement, Earth Queen Hu Ting acknowledged reluctantly. Though hardly the contest advertised. On the tournament floor, the demonstration reached its natural conclusion as both competitors returned to center position and bowed deeply to each other. "I concede to your superior skill," Yu Jin announced formally, "and request the honor of continued exchange after the tournament concludes." "The honor would be mine," Goku replied with genuine enthusiasm. "I have much to learn from your mastery of fire." The referee, momentarily confused by the unconventional conclusion, hesitated before raising Goku's hand. "Winner by opponent's concession, Son Goku." The crowd's response was thunderous, not the bloodthirsty R, or that typically accompanied decisive victory, but appreciative applause for the demonstration of cross-cultural respect and shared knowledge. As Goku left the arena, Korra met him at the competitor's entrance. Her expression a mixture of surprise and approval. "That was unexpected. Was it okay?" Goku asked, suddenly uncertain. "I remembered what you said about connecting rather than just winning." "It was perfect," Korra assured him. "You showed exactly what the new avatar should represent, balance and integration rather than dominance." "Oh good," Goku sighed with relief. "Because honestly, I was just having fun learning from him." "Did you see that dragon claw variation he used?" "I've got to practice that." Korra laughed, tension she hadn't realized she was carrying releasing from her shoulders. "Come on, let's watch the next match. I think you've earned a snack after that performance." Goku's face lit up. "Now you're speaking my language." The tournament's preliminary rounds continued throughout the day, each match revealing unique insights into how different combat traditions interacted. Krillin advanced through his bracket with tactical brilliance compensating for power differentials. Bolin surprised many with his innovative lava bending techniques, earning him victory against technically superior opponents. Ty Lee dispatched a succession of physically strong competitors by targeting pressure points with surgical precision, advancing to the quarterfinals without sustaining a single significant hit. Most impressive, and concerning to security personnel, was Vegeta's methodical domination of his bracket. Unlike Goku's collaborative approach, the Saiyan Prince demonstrated just enough of his power to ensure victory without revealing his full capabilities. Each opponent fell to precisely calibrated attacks that showcased superiority while adhering to tournament regulations. His fighting style remained distinctly Saiyan, incorporating none of the E-graded techniques that others were beginning to adopt. "He's making a statement," Bulma observed to Asami as they watched Vegeta's quarterfinal match conclude with surgical efficiency. "Demonstrating that traditional approaches still have merit without adaptation. A counterpoint to Goku's integration philosophy," Asami agreed. "Though I notice he's carefully observing every bending technique used against him. He may not be adopting them publicly, but he's certainly studying them." By late afternoon, the semifinal matchups were determined. Goku would face Ty Lee in the first contest, Il Vegeta would battle Korra in the second. The scheduling created palpable anticipation. Regardless of outcomes, the finals would pit either Avatar against Avatar or World against World. As competitors took a brief respite before the evening's semifinals, Goku sought out Ty Lee in the preparation area, finding her performing elaborate stretching routines that demonstrated remarkable flexibility. "That was amazing," he said by way of greeting, genuinely impressed by her quarterfinal performance. "The way you took down that earthbender without him landing a single hit on you." Ty Lee transitioned smoothly from a split to standing position, her movements fluid as flowing water. "Balance and precision will overcome brute strength most days," she replied with a smile. "Though I suspect neither will be sufficient against you." "Don't sell yourself short," Goku encouraged. "Your Kai blocking techniques are unlike anything in my world. I still can't figure out how to defend against them properly." "Perhaps that's because you're thinking like a warrior rather than a dancer," Ty Lee suggested, her tone gently teasing. "Kai flows like a river, not a battering ram. To defend against its manipulation, one must learn to redirect rather than resist." "That sounds like something my friend Krillin would say," Goku observed. "He's always telling me I rely too much on power and not enough on technique." "Your friend is wise," Ty Lee approved. "Though from what I've observed, your adaptation to bending principles suggests you're more flexible than you claim." "I try," Goku admitted modestly. "Fighting styles are like food. The more variety you experience, the better your understanding becomes." Ty Lee laughed, the sound musical in the cavernous preparation area. "Another food analogy. Suki warned me about your appetite, but she didn't mention it extended to your conversation as well." "Suki talked about me?" Goku asked, surprised. "Of course. After she met you during the diplomatic reception last week, she couldn't stop describing the strangely innocent warrior with the power of a typhoon but the heart of a child." Ty Lee's expression grew more appraising. "I thought she was exaggerating. Now I'm not so sure." Before Goku could respond, Korra approached, her expression professionally neutral though her posture suggested tension. "Sorry to interrupt, but Tenzin's requesting all semi-finalists for a security briefing before the evening matches." "Security briefing?" Goku questioned. "Did something happen?" "Just precautionary," Korra assured him, though her eyes conveyed additional meaning. "Lin's team detected some unusual energy readings during the quarterfinals. Probably just excited spectators," Ty Lee suggested, though her carefree demeanor had subtly shifted to alertness. "All these powerful benders in one place are bound to create ambient energy fluctuations." "Probably," Korra agreed without conviction. "Still, best to be prepared." As they made their way to the briefing room, Goku noticed increased security personnel throughout the competitors' area, both uniformed Republic City Police and plainclothes agents he recognized from his time at Air Temple Island. Whatever had triggered the security response clearly warranted serious attention. Tenzin, Lin Baifeng, and Lord Zuko awaited them in a secure conference room, along with Vegeta, who leaned against the wall with characteristic aloofness despite the high-level company. Krillin and Bulma were also present, suggesting this meeting extended beyond simple tournament concerns. "Thank you for coming promptly," Tenzin began once the door was secured. "We have credible intelligence suggesting the Energy Syndicate may attempt to disrupt the final matches." "Why would they target a public sporting event?" Ty Lee asked, her expertise as Kyoshi warrior leader evident in her focused question. "We don't believe the tournament itself is their primary objective," Lin explained. "Rather, the concentration of exceptional fighters presents an opportunity for data collection and possibly recruitment. Or acquisition," Bulma added grimly. "The Syndicate has demonstrated willingness to abduct individuals with valuable abilities." "Indeed," Lord Zuko confirmed. "Fire Nation intelligence has documented 3 such disappearances in our territories alone, all individuals demonstrating hybrid abilities since the convergence." "So why continue with the tournament?" Goku asked reasonably. "If we know they're targeting it." "Because cancellation would create panic without eliminating the threat," Lin answered. "Better to proceed with enhanced security and prepared defenders than disperse potential targets without protection." Additionally, Tenzin added, "This presents an opportunity to potentially identify Syndicate operatives. Lin's forces have established a security perimeter designed to detect their specialized equipment. We believe they'll make their move during the final match." Lord Zuko continued. "Maximum audience attention, highest energy output from competitors, optimal confusion potential." "So what do you want us to do?" Vegeta asked impatiently. "Cancel our matches. Fight at reduced capacity." "Neither option appeals to me." "Quite the opposite," Tenzin replied calmly. We want you to compete normally, but remain alert for unusual energy sig. Natures are dampening effects similar to what Goku and Korra encountered at the warehouse. The semi-finals will proceed as scheduled, Lin confirmed. But with additional security measures in place and response teams on standby. And if the syndicate does attack? Ty Lee inquired. Protect civilians first, apprehend suspects if possible, Lin instructed. Under no circumstances should you pursue fleeing operatives alone. These people have technologies designed specifically to counter bending and key abilities. The briefing continued with specific security protocols and recognition parameters for potential syndicate equipment. Throughout the discussion, Goku noticed Vegeta's growing impatience. The Saiyan Prince clearly considered these precautions excessive compared to the straightforward threats they typically faced. Any questions? Tenzin concluded. Just one, Goku said. If they're after people with hybrid abilities, I'm probably their primary target, right? Since I'm using both ki and bending. A moment of uncomfortable silence confirmed his assessment. You and Avatar Korra would indeed represent high-value acquisitions, Lord Zuko acknowledged. Which is precisely why you'll both have dedicated security teams monitoring your vicinity at all times. That seems excessive, Korra protested. We're both more than capable of defending ourselves. Against conventional threats, certainly. Tenzin agreed. But the syndicate has demonstrated sophisticated countermeasures specifically designed for energy neutralization. Precaution is warranted. As the meeting adjourned, competitors returned to final preparations for the evening matches. The atmosphere had shifted subtly, competitive excitement now underlaid with vigilant awareness. Security personnel moved WITH heightened purpose throughout the facility, and technicians could be seen checking equipment with meticulous attention. They're scared, Vegeta observed to Goku as they walked together toward the preparation area. All this fuss over a few humans with machines. Don't underestimate technology, Goku cautioned. Remember what Bulma said about the dampening devices at the warehouse. They temporarily affected even my Super Saiyan energy. Temporarily, Vegeta emphasized dismissively. No human technology can permanently suppress Saiyan power. Maybe not, Goku conceded. But we're not just dealing with human technology anymore. These syndicate people are combining sciences and techniques from both our worlds. All the more reason to crush them decisively when they appear, Vegeta stated with typical directness. End the threat rather than dancing around it with security protocols and surveillance. Goku sighed, recognizing the fundamental difference in their approaches. Saint promise you won't deliberately draw them out during your match with Korra. Vegeta's silence was less than reassuring. Vegeta, Goku pressed, uncharacteristic seriousness in his tone. These people aren't like our usual enemies. They don't want a fair fight or to prove their strength. They're systematic, calculating, and willing to exploit innocent bystanders. Fine, Vegeta conceded reluctantly. I'll follow their precious protocols. But when these syndicate cowards do show themselves, don't expect restraint. Wouldn't dream of it, Goku assured him with a return to his typical good humor. Now, I'd better warm up. Something tells me Ty Lee won't be holding back in our match. The evening session began with dramatically increased attendance, the semifinals drawing spectators from across Republic City and beyond. The arena's illumination had been enhanced for nighttime competition, Spirit Vine-powered spotlights casting the central platform in almost daylight brightness. While leaving the audience in relative shadow. Additional security measures were visible to informed observers, though carefully integrated to avoid alarming the general public. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer's voice resonated throughout the arena. Welcome to the semifinal matches of the First Harmony Games. Our opening contest features the Avatar Saiyan Son Goku against Kyoshi Warrior Grandmaster Ty Lee. Cheers erupted as the competitors entered from opposite sides of the arena, each acknowledging the crowd with their characteristic styles. Goku with an enthusiastic wave, Ty Lee with a graceful bow. They met at center platform for the referee's final instructions, their contrasting physiques highlighting the diversity the tournament celebrated. Goku towered over the slender warrior, his muscular frame emphasizing power while her lithe posture suggested speed and precision. Remember tournament regulations, the referee reminded them. Victory by knockout, submission, or ring out. No lethal techniques. Clear. Both nodded agreement before returning to their starting positions. In the royal observation box, dignitaries leaned forward with anticipation. This should be fascinating, Fire Lord Izumi commented. Raw power versus precision. Different worlds, different philosophies. Indeed, Lord Zuko agreed beside his daughter. Though I suspect Son Goku is more adaptable than his appearance suggests. Begin. The referee called, leaping clear. Ty Lee moved instantly, her strategy evident, close distance immediately to neutralize Goku's range advantages. Her approach was indirect, zigzagging with acrobatic flair that made her trajectory difficult to predict. Goku remained stationary, tracking her movement with experienced eyes. Rather than launching RGY attacks that might miss such a mobile target, he prepared for close combat, shifting his weight subtly to accommodate whichever angle she chose for her initial strike. The first exchange came with breathtaking speed, Ty Lee launching into a spinning kick that transitioned seamlessly into a series of precise finger strikes aimed at Goku's shoulder and chest. He blocked the kick with his forearm, but deliberately allowed two of the finger strikes to land, curious about their effect in a full combat scenario. The result was immediate, a numbing sensation spreading through his left arm as Kai pathways temporarily closed. Not complete neutralization as before, but definitely decreased function and energy flow. Impressive, he acknowledged, shifting to compensate. But partial blockage won't be enough. Just establishing parameters, Ty Lee replied with a confident smile, already moving again, her fighting style a fluid blend of acrobatics and targeted strikes. Goku responded with increasing engagement, genuinely enjoying the technical challenge she presented. Unlike opponents who relied on overwhelming force or speed, Ty Lee's approach required constant adaptation and awareness. Each exchange taught him more about Kai pathways and their vulnerability, knowledge that might prove valuable beyond the tournament context. From the competitor's area, Korra watched with professional interest. She's good, she commented to Bolin, who had joined her after his elimination in the quarterfinals. Better than I expected against someone of Goku's caliber. Kai blocking is seriously underrated, Bolin agreed. Remember how effectively the Equalists used it during Amon's revolution. If Ty Lee taught them, they'd have been even more dangerous. Fortunately, she has more honorable priorities, Korra noted. The Kyoshi warriors remain one of the Earth Kingdom's most respected institutions precisely because they use their skills to protect rather than dominate. On the platform, the match had intensified. Ty Lee maintained her strategy of targeted strikes, but Goku had begun countering more effectively, using subtle airbending techniques to create space whenever she approached his vulnerable points. Neither had yet employed their full capabilities, Ty Lee reserving her most devastating Kai blocking combinations, Goku abstaining from both key attacks and elemental bending beyond defensive applications. They're still feeling each other out, Vegeta observed from nearby, his arms crossed in characteristic fashion. Kakarot is holding back significantly. So is Ty Lee, Korra countered. Those are basic Kai blocking sequences, not her advanced techniques. Then this match is pointless, Vegeta dismissed. If neither will fight seriously, they might as well concede now and save everyone's time. Not everything is about raw power, Korra replied with evident frustration. They're demonstrating respect for each other's techniques while exploring the interaction between different fighting philosophies. They're playing, Vegeta corrected bluntly. Watch. On the platform, the nature of the contest was indeed shifting. What had begun as cautious technical exchange was evolving into something more collaborative, almost playful. Ty Lee executed a particularly elegant combination that Goku countered with equally graceful footwork, both fighters smiling as though sharing a private joke. See, Vegeta's tone suggested vindication. Kakarot isn't taking this seriously. As usual, before Korra could respond, the match dynamic changed decisively. Ty Lee, perhaps recognizing the need to advance the contest, suddenly accelerated her assault. Her movements blurred as she executed a complex sequence of strikes too rapid for most observers to follow, targeting a pattern of pressure points that would temporarily disable even an exceptional opponent. Goku's response demonstrated why he remained undefeated in his world. Rather than attempting to block the impossible barrage, he channeled earthbending energy through his body in a technique Korra had recently taught him, momentarily hardening his Kai pathways against external manipulation while simultaneously gathering air currents around his form. As Tai Li's final strike approached, he released the gathered air in a controlled burst that created separation while minimizing impact to his opponent. The defensive technique displayed perfect integration of Saiyan reflexes with avatar bending principles. Remarkable, Tenzin murmured from the observation box. He's already integrating advanced D-bending philosophies into his natural fighting style. The crowd roared appreciation for the exchange, recognizing the exceptional skill demonstrated by both competitors. Tai Li landed lightly at platform edge, genuine delight evident in her expression despite being temporarily thwarted. Earthbending energy protection with airbending displacement, she called across the platform. Clever combination. Did Avatar Korra teach you that? The basics, Goku acknowledged. The integration was my idea. Well then, Tai Li's stance shifted to something more focused. Let's see how you handle this integration. What followed demonstrated why Tai Li had achieved legendary status among non-bending fighters. She launched into a sequence that combined traditional Kyoshi warrior movements with techniques clearly influenced by waterbending principles, flowing, redirecting, constantly adapting. Though she manipulated no actual elements, her Kai-enhanced strikes carried effects beyond physical impact, targeting energy systems with devastating precision. Goku found himself genuinely challenged, forced to incorporate multiple bending defenses simultaneously while maintaining awareness of his increasingly compromised Kai pathways. Partial numbness affected his left leg and right shoulder, requiring constant adaptation in his fighting style. Time to take this seriously, he decided, in respect for his opponent evident in his expression. For the first time in the match, Goku deliberately offensive, not with overwhelming force, but with carefully calibrated bending techniques. He created small, precisely aimed earth projectiles that disrupted Tai Li's footwork, followed by controlled air currents that affected her balance mid-acrobatic sequence. The shift surprised Tai Li, though she recovered admirably, adjusting her approach to counter these new elemental obstacles. The contest elevated further as both fighters demonstrated increasing technical brilliance, each exchange more elaborate than the last. In the competitor's area, even Vegeta uncrossed his arms, his attention fully captured by the display. He's using elemental attacks with the precision of ki control, he observed with reluctant approval. Conserving energy while maximizing tactical advantage. And she's countering by reading the elemental shifts before they manifest, Korra added, professional AP. Appreciation overriding competitive concerns, anticipating rather than merely reacting. The match reached its climax as Tai Li executed a spectacular aerial approach, combining multiple somersaults with mid-air direction changes that made her trajectory impossible to predict. Goku responded with subtle earthbending, creating a barely perceptible shift in the platform's surface exactly where she would land. The adjustment was minuscule but perfectly timed. Tai Li's foot contacted the surface at a slightly different angle than anticipated, disrupting her planned sequence just enough for Goku to close distance. With movements too fast for most spectators to follow, he executed a simplified version of her own Kai blocking technique, not to disable but to gently demonstrate his understanding of the principles she'd shown him. Tai Li felt the precise pressure at exactly the right junction points and recognized the statement it represented. With graceful acceptance, she stepped back and bowed deeply. I concede, she announced clearly. Grandmaster Son Goku has demonstrated superior integration of multiple disciplines. The crowd exploded with appreciation, recognizing the technical brilliance and mutual respect demonstrated throughout the contest. Goku returned her bow with equal depth, genuine admiration in his expression. The honor of learning from you has been mine, he replied sincerely. I hope we can continue our exchange after the tournament. I would be delighted, Tai Li assured him, her smile warm with genuine connection. As they left the platform together, applause continued to wash over them, not merely for the athletic display, but for the embodiment of cross-cultural respect it represented. In the observation box, dignitaries exchanged approving nods, recognizing the diplomatic value of such positive interaction between worlds. Son Goku advances to the finals. The announcer confirmed unnecessarily. After a brief intermission, we'll witness our Con semifinal match. Avatar Korra vs Prince Vegeta. Security personnel used the intermission to conduct additional scans, their vigilance increasing as the tournament approached its culmination. Lin Baifeng personally supervised equipment checks while maintaining communication with plainclothes officers distributed throughout the facility. Anything? She inquired tersely over her radio. Negative on sections 1 through 4. Came the response. Unusual energy readings near the southeastern maintenance tunnels continue, but no change in pattern or intensity. Keep monitoring, she instructed. The dimensional fluctuations may be masking other signatures. Across the arena, beneath the VIP seating section, a nondescript maintenance worker adjusted settings on what appeared to be standard electrical equipment. The subtle distortion field generated by the device effectively concealed its true purpose from conventional detection methods. Extraction parameters updated, he sub-vocalized into a concealed communicator. Primary subjects progressing as anticipated. Ready to initiate on command. In the competitor's preparation area, Korra completed her warm-up routine with focused determination. Unlike Goku's match with its emphasis on technical exchange, her contest with Vegeta would inevitably showcase raw power differentials. The Saiyan Prince had made clear his disdain for what he considered excessive restraint, all but promising a demonstration of superior force. Don't let him provoke you, Tenzin advised, having briefly left the observation box to offer counsel. Vegeta seeks validation through dominance. Denying him the satisfaction of an emotional response may be your most effective strategy. I'm not concerned about his psychological tactics, Korra assured her mentor. I'm more worried about civilian safety if he decides tournament regulations are optional. Bulma believes he'll adhere to the agreed limitations, Tenzin offered without complete conviction. Though perhaps with minimal enthusiasm. Great, Korra sighed. Well, at least security's prepared for potential issues. Indeed, Chief Baifeng has implemented additional counter-measures specific to energy-based attacks. Tenzin's expression grew more serious. However, our primary concern remains potential syndicate intervention. If you sense any unusual energy patterns or dampening effects. I know, Korra assured him. Signal immediately and prioritize civilian evacuation over competition. We've been through the protocols. The announcement system interrupted their conversation. Competitors for semifinal match 2, please report to the arena entrance. That's my cue, Korra said, rolling her shoulders to release final tension. Wish me luck. You have something more valuable than luck. Tenzin reminded her. You have balance. Remember that when facing Saiyan power. Korra nodded appreciation before making her way to the entrance tunnel. Vegeta was already there. His compact frame radiating contained energy that practically vibrated the air around him. Avatar, he acknowledged curtly. I trust you won't hold back as pathetically as those two did in the previous match. That depends, Korra replied evenly. Are you interested in an actual contest, or just a power demonstration? Vegeta's expression suggested the question had actually penetrated his competitive focus. A legitimate contest requires worthy opposition, he stated after brief consideration. Your reputation suggests you might provide it, despite your obvious power disadvantage. How generous, Korra responded dryly. Just remember the tournament regulations. This isn't a battle to the death on some distant planet. Disappointing, but I'll adapt, Vegeta agreed with what might have been the ghost of humor. After you. They entered the arena together, greeted by enthusiastic crowd response. The announcer's introduction emphasized the historic nature of their contest. The first official competition between an Avatar and a Saiyan Prince, representatives of the highest power levels from their respective worlds. At center platform, the referee provided final instructions with notable nervousness. Clearly aware of the destructive potential before him. Both competitors acknowledged the regulations with appropriate gravity before taking their positions. This should be interesting, Goku commented from the competitor's viewing area, having showered and changed after his own match. Vegeta won't hold back much, and Korra's too proud to concede without giving everything she has. Will she be safe? Ty Lee asked with genuine concern. I've sensed Prince Vegeta's energy levels. They're disturbing. Korra can handle herself, Goku assured her. She's got something Vegeta doesn't fully appreciate yet, spiritual balance that complements physical power. The referee's signal initiated the match with a sharp electronic tone. Unlike the measured opening of the previous contest, this one began with immediate intensity. Vegeta launched forward with controlled aggression, testing Korra's defensive capabilities with a series of physical strikes that stopped just short of full Saiyan power. Korra responded with impressive adaptability, combining waterbending's fluid evasion with earthbending's solid counters. Rather than attempting to match Vegeta's physical strength, a losing proposition against Saiyan physiology, she used his momentum against him, redirecting rather than opposing. Clever, Vegeta acknowledged after the initial exchange, genuine respect coloring his tone. You fight intelligently despite your power limitations. And you're more technically precise than your reputation suggested, Korra returned, maintaining combat distance while assessing options. Not just brute force after all. The backhanded compliment seemed to amuse rather than offend him. Kakarot is the unrefined one. I've always favored precision. To demonstrate, he extended one hand and released a focused energy beam that threaded between Korra's defenses before she could fully react, scoring a glancing hit to her shoulder. The crowd gasped at the demonstration of key manipulation, the energy beam precisely controlled to cause discomfort without injury, showcasing Vegeta's exceptional control. Korra's response demonstrated why she was considered among the most combat-proficient avatars in history. Without hesitation, she countered with a combination of all four elements simultaneously: earth projectiles to disrupt his footing, water whips to restrict movement, fire bursts to create separation, and air currents to affect his balance. Vegeta's expression shifted from clinical assessment to genuine engagement as he navigated the elemental assault. Though he could have simply powered through with brute force, he chose instead to match her technical approach, employing precise key manipulation to counter each element individually. He's actually enjoying himself, Bulma remarked with surprise from the observation area. That's his worthy opponent expression. As is Korra's, Tenzin noted. They're well matched despite the power differential, her versatility balancing his raw strength. The contest escalated as both competitors abandoned preliminary assessment for serious engagement. Korra entered a partial avatar state, her eyes glowing momentarily as she accessed increased power without full spiritual manifestation. Vegeta responded by allowing his ki aura to become visible, the characteristic blue energy field surrounding him without advancing to Super Saiyan transformation. Their exchanges became increasingly spectacular, energy discharges illuminating the arena as elemental forces collided with ki manipulation. Despite the intensity, both maintained precise control, adhering to tournament safety regulations while demonstrating exceptional combat prowess. This is better, Vegeta called across the platform during a momentary separation. Show me the full extent of avatar power. You first, Korra countered, unwilling to risk full avatar state without assessing his complete capabilities. The challenge visibly tempted him. For a moment, golden energy flickered in his aura, the precursor to Super Saiyan transformation, before he mastered the impulse, remembering the agreed limitations. Another time, perhaps, he conceded with visible restraint. For now, let's continue within these restrictive parameters. Their combat resumed with renewed focus, each testing the other's defenses with increasingly sophisticated techniques. Korra demonstrated mastery of specialized bending applications rarely seen in combination: metal bending cables to restrict movement, lightning redirection to counter energy attacks, spiritual projection to momentarily disorient. Vegeta matched her versatility with the combat experience of countless battles across multiple worlds. Each time Korra introduced a new element to her approach, he adapted with remarkable speed, never falling for the same technique twice. The contest had reached its most intense phase, both competitors demonstrating exceptional skill while maintaining control. When the first security anomaly manifested, throughout the arena, lighting systems flickered momentarily, accompanied by a subtle vibration felt through the structure's foundation. Energy surge detected. Lin's voice came through security communications. Pattern matches southeastern disturbance but at 10 times intensity. All units on alert. In the Royal Observation Box, dignitaries exchanged concerned glances as security personnel moved into protective positions around them. On the tournament floor, the competitors briefly paused, both sensitive enough to environmental energy to detect the disturbance. Something's wrong, Korra stated, her combat focus momentarily diverted to broader awareness. Vegeta nodded curt agreement, his senses likewise registering the anomalous energy pattern. Not natural fluctuation. Deliberate activation of some kind. Before either could elaborate, the disturbance intensified. Throughout the arena, spectators reported strange sensations, momentary dizziness, visual distortions, and inexplicable pressure behind the eyes. The air itself seemed to thicken, developing an ozone-like quality that raised hairs on exposed skin. All security units, implement Protocol Sigma, Lin's voice commanded through the communication system. Possible dimensional breach in progress. On the tournament platform, reality itself appeared to waver. The space between Korra and Vegeta distorted visibly, light bending around what appeared to be a developing tear in the fabric of space-time. Similar distortions manifested at multiple points throughout the arena, creating localized disruptions that security personnel struggled to contain. Everyone remain calm, the announcer's voice instructed, though tension was evident in his tone. Please, stay in your seats while security addresses these technical difficulties. Korra and Vegeta instinctively moved back to back at center platform, combat forgotten as they assessed the developing threat. Deliberate, Vegeta concluded with certainty. These distortions are being generated, not naturally occurring. The Syndicate, Korra agreed, already scanning for potential sources. But how are they creating dimensional tears? That should require enormous energy and specialized equipment. Unless they're not creating them, Vegeta suggested grimly. Perhaps they're just widening excess. Weak points in the dimensional boundary. The largest distortion, still developing between them on the platform, suddenly pulsed with violet energy. A sound like reality itself screaming filled the arena as the tear widened further, revealing swirling darkness beyond. Evacuate immediately, Lin's voice commanded throughout the facility. All personnel implement emergency protocols. This is not a drill. Security forces moved with practiced efficiency, guiding spectators toward designated exits while specialized teams approached the growing dimensional tiers with equipment designed to contain energy anomalies. In the Royal Observation Box, Master Benders created protective barriers around dignitaries as they were escorted to secure locations. On the tournament floor, the situation deteriorated rapidly. The central distortion expanded explosively, forcing Korra and Vegeta apart as tendrils of violet energy lashed outward like living things. Similar ruptures developed throughout the arena, creating chaos as spectators fled and security struggled to maintain order. Son Goku, Korra called across the platform. We need. Her words cut off as a tendril of energy wrapped around her arm, sending visible pain through her body. Vegeta immediately fired a precision ki blast that severed the connection, but more tendrils emerged from the expanding rupture. Energy dampening effect confirmed, Lin reported through increasingly static-filled communications. All benders and ki users be advised, direct contact with the anomalies suppresses abilities temporarily. From the competitor's area, Goku launched into action, teleporting directly to the platform despite security protocols. He materialized beside Korra, supporting her as she recovered from the energy tendrils' effects. They're not random, she gasped, fighting through lingering pain. The ruptures are targeting specific energy signatures, primarily mine and yours. The Syndicate, Goku concluded, observing similar patterns in the distortions, behavior throughout the arena. They're using the dimensional instability as a weapon. Or a collection device, Vegeta suggested darkly, gesturing toward where. The tendrils seemed to be gathering ambient energy from benders and ki users throughout the facility. The central rupture had grown to dominate the tournament platform, its swirling violet depths occasionally revealing shadowed figures moving within. Energy tendrils continued emerging, becoming more coordinated in their movements, less random lashing and more deliberate targeting. We need to say these tiers before they destabilize the entire area, Korra determined, recovering her composure. Combined energy approach. Goku, can you generate a containment field with your ki while I work on sealing the ruptures? Worth trying, he agreed, immediately channeling energy through his palms in a carefully controlled stream designed to encircle rather than penetrate the distortion. I'll handle perimeter security, Vegeta declared, already moving to intercept tendrils attempting to reach fleeing spectators. His precise energy attacks severed the manifestations without exacerbating the dimensional instability, a display of control that belied his reputation for destructive force. Throughout the arena, similar cooperative efforts emerged as benders and ki users worked together to contain the spreading distortions. Ty Lee coordinated Kyoshi warriors in protecting civilians, her Kai blocking techniques proving surprisingly effective against energy tendrils. Krillin organized key users to establish containment barriers around smaller ruptures, preventing their expansion while evacuation continued. On the main platform, Goku's containment effort showed initial success, his key energy Y forming a glowing barrier around the central distortion that momentarily checked its growth. Korra, drawing upon the avatar state, systematically closed smaller tiers using specialized energy bending techniques. "It's working," she called to Goku, encouraged by their progress. "Keep the containment steady while I..." The central rupture suddenly pulsed with blinding intensity, sending a shockwave that disrupted all containment efforts simultaneously. Goku's energy barrier shattered, the backlash sending him skidding across the platform. Throughout the arena, similar containment failures occur. Red as the distortions synchronized in disturbing harmony. Energy signature shift detected, Lin's increasingly distorted voice reported. Unknown entities emerging from rupture points. All units implement hostile entity protocols. From the central tear, shadowy figures began materializing, humanoid in general shape but with disturbing proportions and movements that suggested non-human origin. Their forms appeared partially transparent, as though not fully manifested in physical reality. Most disturbing were the crystalline growths embedded throughout their bodies, pulsing with the same violet energy as the dimensional tiers. Spirit world entities, Korra questioned, recognizing similarities to certain corrupted spirits she'd encountered during previous crises. "No," Goku replied, his expression uncharacteristically grim. "These are something else. I sense key signatures, but, wrong. Twisted somehow." Similar entities emerged from ruptures throughout the arena, immediately targeting benders and key users with precision that suggested intelligence rather than instinct. Their attacks manifested as energy-draining tendrils similar to those produced by the ruptures themselves, but directed with tactical coordination. "The Syndicate has weaponized dimensional entities," Korra realized with horror. "They're using them as collection agents. Then we eliminate them," Vegeta stated simply, launching himself toward the nearest cluster with characteristic directness. His attack proved less effective than anticipated. Though his energy blasts impacted the entities, their semi-corporeal nature allowed partial reformation after each hit. Moreover, they seemed to absorb a portion of the energy directed against them, growing more substantial with each attack. "Energy attacks make them stronger," Goku warned, quickly shifting to physical combat instead. His punches and kicks proved more effective, disrupting the entities' forms without providing energy they could absorb. Korra adapted immediately, switching from elemental attacks to specialized physical techniques augmented with minimal bending energy. Together with Goku, she engaged entities emerging from the central rupture. Their complementary fighting styles creating an effective defense against the increasingly numerous manifestations. Throughout the arena, others followed their example, abandoning energy-based attacks for physical combat where possible. The tide of battle stabilized temporarily as defenders adapted to the entity's nature, preventing further territorial expansion while evacuation continued. The momentary advantage proved short-lived. From the central rupture, a larger manifestation emerged, clearly different from the collector entities. Its form approximated human proportions but, with crystalline structures replacing approximately half its physical mass. Most disturbing was its face, partly human, partly crystal, with features that suggested deliberate scientific modification rather than natural development. At last, it spoke, its voice carrying unnatural resonance. The Avatar Saiyan convergence point. Perfect. The being focused its attention directly on Goku, extending a crystalline appendage that fired a concentrated beam of violet energy. Goku dodged with characteristic speed, but the beam curved in midair, tracking him with unnatural precision. "Goku," Korra called in warning, but it was too late. The energy beam impacted his chest, immediately creating crystalline growths at the contact point that spread rapidly across his torso. Pain contorted Goku's features as the crystalline infection expanded, seemingly converting his physical form into the same partially mineral state as the entity that had attacked him. He dropped to one knee, fighting the transformation through sheer willpower. "Magnificent resistance," the entity observed with clinical interest. "Your energy systems are even more robust than our models predicted." The perfect integration specimen. Korra didn't waste time on dialogue. Entering the full avatar state, she launched a devastating combination attack at the entity, combining all four elements in a spiraling vortex of destructive force. The entity raised crystalline barriers that partially absorbed the assault, though the impact still forced it backward toward the rupture. The female avatar as well, it noted with the same disturbing scientific detachment. Different energy signature but equally valuable. Excellent. Vegeta, seeing Goku's condition deteriorating, abandoned his perimeter defense to launch a direct assault on the primary entity. Disregarding earlier warnings about energy attacks, he channeled his full power into a concentrated beam that shattered the crystalline barriers and impacted the entity directly. Absorb this, creature, he snarled as golden light erupted around him, his Super Saiyan transformation releasing power that momentarily overshadowed all other energy in the arena. The entity staggered under the assault, its form destabilizing before partially reforming. Saiyan energy, potent but unrefined compared to the integrated subject, it assessed even as portions of its crystalline structure fractured and fell away. Secondary priority acquisition. Throughout this exchange, Goku continued fighting the crystalline transformation spreading across his body. With tremendous effort, he forced himself back to his feet, golden light beginning to emanate from within as he tapped into his Super Saiyan power. The crystal growths slowed their advance but continued spreading gradually toward his extremities. Korra, he called, voice strained with effort. I can't stop it completely. Need to try something else. Understanding immediately, Korra moved to his side, maintaining her avatar state while establishing direct contact. Together, she agreed, comprehending his intent without further explanation. What followed would be discussed by witnesses for years afterward. As Korra connected with Goku, their energy signatures began harmonizing, her avatar state and his Super Saiyan transformation creating a unique resonance pattern that affected the dimensional stability throughout the arena. The crystalline infection halted its advance as Goku's eyes began glowing with the same white light as Korra's, while her aura took on golden highlights characteristic of Super Saiyan energy. The merged power created a shockwave that temporarily disrupted all dimensional anomalies throughout the facility. Unprecedented, the entity observed, genuine alarm replacing scientific detachment. Integration exceeding theoretical parameters. Containment protocols insufficient. The harmonized energy expanded outward from Goku and Korra in concentric rings, passing through normal matter without effect but causing the dimensional entities to destabilize rapidly. The primary entity attempted retreat through the central rupture, but Vegeta intercepted with Crazy Scion Key manipulation that disrupted its escape trajectory. Secondary containment activated, the entity announced, its form beginning to dissolve as the harmonized energy continued affecting it. Data transmission in progress. Withdrawal sequence initiated. Throughout the arena, the dimensional ruptures began contracting simultaneously, the violet energy receding like a tide withdrawing from shore. The collector entities dissipated into particulate matter that was drawn back into the closing tiers, their mission apparently abandoned in favor of preservation. The primary entity, still part ally intact despite the harmonized energy's effects, focused its remaining capabilities on the central rupture, forcing it to remain open despite the general contraction occurring elsewhere. Subject acquisition deferred, it stated, its voice degrading as its form continued dissolving. But data collected, most valuable. Your unique integration will be replicated. With a final surge of effort, it propelled itself through the rupture moments before complete dissolution. The tear contracted rapidly behind it, sealing with an audible thunderclap that momentarily silenced all other sound in the arena. As the last dimensional anomalies closed, the harmonized energy surrounding Goku and Korra gradually stabilized, then separated back into distinct signatures. The crystalline infection affecting Goku crumbled away, leaving him exhausted but intact as both their enhanced states receded. That was, he began, struggling for words to describe the experience. Intense, Korra supplied, equally drained. Like nothing I've ever felt before. Vegeta approached, his Super Saiyan aura dimming as he powered down to normal state. What exactly did you two do? He demanded, though concern rather than accusation dominated his tone. Combined the avatar state with Super Saiyan transformation, Goku explained, still processing the experience himself. It created some kind of harmonic energy that the dimensional entities couldn't withstand. Fascinating, came Bulma's voice as she joined them on the platform, scientific equipment already scanning the residual energy patterns. The resonance frequency created by your combined transformation appears to have neutralized the dimensional instability temporarily. Lin Baifeng approached with a security detail, her expression grim despite their apparent victory. The ruptures have closed throughout the facility, but we have 14 confirmed injuries and at least 3 cases of partial crystalline transformation similar to what affected Son Goku. Are they stable? Korra asked immediately. For now, medical teams are treating them, but without understanding the process. Lin's typically stoic demeanor showed rare uncertainty. I might be able to help, Goku offered, examining his own body where the crystals had attached. I could feel how the energy was trying to convert my cells. Maybe if I work with the healers, we can reverse the process in the others. Worth trying, Lin agreed. Report to the medical station when you're able. She turned to address the broader security situation, coordinating Team S for facility securing and evidence collection. As emergency response continued around them, Tenzin joined their group on the platform, his expression reflecting the gravity of what had occurred. This was a coordinated attack, he stated without preamble. Not merely opportunistic exploitation of dimensional instability, but deliberate weaponization of the convergence phenomenon. The Syndica has advanced far beyond what we anticipated, Bulma agreed, reviewing readings from her equipment. These weren't random dimensional tiers, they were precisely calibrated extractions, designed to harvest specific energy signatures. They were after Goku primarily, Korra added, and me secondarily. The entity specifically mentioned are integration, is valuable. And now they have extensive data on your combined energy state. Vegeta pointed out grimly. Even without capturing either of you physically, they've acquired valuable intelligence about your capabilities. The implications settled heavily on the group. What had begun as a diplomatic sporting event had evolved into something far more consequential, the first direct confrontation with an enemy sophisticated enough to weaponize the dimensional convergence itself. The tournament cannot continue, Tenzin decided. President Moon will make a formal announcement once the evacuation is complete and casualties are addressed. No one argued the point. The Harmony Games had served their purpose, though not in the way anyone had anticipated. Rather than merely demonstrating peaceful coexistence between merged worlds, they had revealed the existence of forces actively exploiting the convergence for malevolent purposes. We should help with the injured, Goku suggested, already moving toward the medical station despite his own exhaustion. His natural compassion reasserting itself now that immediate danger had passed. As they made their way through the damaged arena, Ty Lee joined them, her Kyoshi warrior attire showing evidence of intense combat but her movements still graceful despite obvious fatigue. That was quite a demonstration, she commented to Goku, genuine admiration in her voice. I've never seen anything like that energy harmonization. Neither had we, Korra admitted. It wasn't exactly planned. The best techniques rarely are, Ty Lee observed with the wisdom of decades in martial arts. Why emerge from necessity when established methods prove insufficient? The philosophical observation carried weight beyond its immediate context. Their worlds had merged without planning or preparation, forcing adaptation and innovation in response to unprecedented challenges. Perhaps their greatest strength lay not in individual power but in the unique combinations and resonances emerging from their cooperation. As they continued through the aftermath, helping where needed and processing what had occurred, one thing became increasingly clear to all involved: the tournament of two worlds had marked a turning point. Whatever came next would require not just power, but understanding, not just strength, but harmony between fundamentally different approaches to both combat and existence itself. The Energy Syndicate had revealed itself as a sophisticated threat capable of exploiting the very fabric of reality. Defeating such an enemy would require more than conventional opposition, it would demand the same kind of harmonic integration that Goku and Korra had briefly achieved in the heart of Crisis. The true contest was just beginning. Chapter 3 End. The end. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.